All right.
Before we start, you guys have access to your tokens, right? Like, move your tokens around. Try to move everyone's tokens around.
By the way, we are live.
Can't
right
move
now.
mine.
I should
Say hi to the internet. Hi, internet.
Hello, internet.
But I'm afraid of the internet.
Hello, guys.
But the internet is really great.
Is it?
Yes.
I mean, yeah. It is.
Learn.
Jaming, I can't move my token with the arrows.
I'm good. Actually, I can't move
I
with the arrows
can.
either. That's interesting. Oh, it's because there's no grid. Don't worry about it. There's no grid.
Oh,
No,
okay.
there is a grid, is there not?
No,
Yeah, there's a grid here.
There is a grid.
I don't see a grid on this page.
You guys might need to refresh Roll20 because
Okay.
it works for me, and there is a grid.
Let me refresh.
Okay. I'm on it.
I'm
Okay.
able to move everyone's tokens just fine.
Yeah,
And they're on the
move
grid.
Everyone's tokens.
Moving the tokens is fine. It just doesn't want to soft lock for me. Okay, now it does.
Damn it.
There
I
we go.
did not mean to do that.
There we go.
All right. Hello, everyone that has decided to join us for this horrible adventure here. The horrible adventure being streaming, not the game.
I mean, little column A, little column B.
Little column A, little column B. Yes, the internet is a spooky place. I agree.
The outcome of the venture is all actually will be up to you guys. So it is in your hands. And to those of you that are watching, we will be playing the first session of our campaign series, which is called Story Mode, where the players will be going through all of the official Wizards of the Coast campaign modules, or as far as they can before they get tired of it. So the first session, we're going to start off with Lost Mines of Phandelver. And just to give you guys some context, and the players as well, this is sort of the background to the campaign. So it was more than 500 years ago. Clans of dwarves and gnomes made an agreement known as the Phandelver Pact, by which they would share a rich mine into a wondrous cavern known as Wave Echo Cave. In addition to its mineral wealth, the mine contained great magical power. Human spellcasters allied themselves with dwarves and gnomes to channel and bind the energy into a great forge called the Forge of Spells. Magic items could be crafted here. Times were good, and nearby human town of Phandelver prospered as well. But then, all too soon, disaster struck when orcs swept through the north and laid waste to their path. A powerful force of orcs, reinforced by evil mercenary wizards, attacked Wave Echo Cave to seize the riches and the magic treasures. Human wizards fought alongside their dwarf and gnome allies to defend the Forge of Spells, and the ensuing spell battle destroyed much of the cavern. Few survived the cave-ins and tremors, and the location of Wave Echo Cave was lost. For centuries, rumors of buried riches have attracted treasure seekers and opportunists around the area of Phandelver, but no one has ever succeeded in locating the lost mine. In recent years, people have resettled in the area. Phandelver is now a rough-and-tumble frontier town, but more importantly, the Rockseeker brothers, a trio of dwarves, have discovered the entrance to Wave Echo Cave and intend to reopen the mines. Unfortunately, the Rockseekers, they are not the only ones interested in the cave. So, let's not hesitate anymore and jump straight into it. But I want to do something a little bit differently to what most campaigns do. I want you guys to control some elements for me. And could everyone just roll a d20 for me?
Sure,
And
gotcha.
tell me your result.
12, sir.
It's a beautiful 5. I'm glad we're getting that out of the way.
5, all right. Beth?
Another 12.
All right, cool. And Daniel?
Unlucky 13.
Unlucky. No, that's pretty lucky. You're the highest number so far. Okay.
That's a good sign.
You guys together embark and find yourselves on a wagon with 2 oxen pulling it. Daniel, What season of the year is it right now?
Ugh. It's a muggy fall day.
Okay, muggy fall day. All right. Matt, what is the weather like on this muggy fall day?
Let this D4 decide. It is a bright sunny day without a cloud in the sky, according to this D4.
Absolutely. Okay. And Beth, what time of day is it that you find yourselves upon the Tribor Trail, upon your way to Phandelver, as these two oxen pull this large wagon full of provisions?
Well, we got a pretty early start to the day, and we've been traveling for a few hours now. It's about 11:30, a little before noon.
Okay. And as this wagon just bumbles along this road, this unpaved road, actually, for the fact you guys hit many potholes at many roots, just snagging up the wheels. The oxen have no trouble themselves, but you guys find it uncomfortable as you hit every nook and cranny along this dirt road known as a Tribor Trail. You guys just think back to what was said to you in Neverwinter, and essentially there's a very, very business-focused dwarf named Gundren Rockseeker, and he's employed you guys essentially to bring a series of provisions, of which you guys are towing with your oxen right now, to the town of Phandelver. And he wants you to do so because he is embarking on his mission to reopen a lost hidden cave around the area of Phandelver. Not only that, your close friend, Cornelius Magnus Abercombus, a very powerful wizard who studies and researches at the College of Neverwinter, has also asked you to do so. But he has left early for you guys, and he's given the instruction that he is to refine this powerful forge called the Forge of Spells, which was lost in the cave. So, as you guys think about this while traveling and riding along the wagon, Isaac, why don't you go ahead and explain what your character's doing, what their position on the wagon is, and who and what they look like.
Just my character or every?
Just your character.
All right.
Starting with you.
My character sits in the back of the wagon on top of a small stack of hay used for cushioning in the back of the wagon. His small halfling form easily rests on the mound of hay, and despite what normal halflings usually look like, he's rather mutely dressed in that his clothes are darker colors. He's wearing a buttoned-down black coat with leather gauntlets and a nice little scarf tied around his neck to keep him warm. And as the ox pull us along the road, he twangs along his tiny little guitar, humming small tunes and occasionally stopping to write in a small notebook in his side.
Okay. The leaves continue to fall around you as they turn that crisp autumn colors, the yellows, the oranges, a few shades of red here and there. Isaac, you didn't name who your character was. Who are you playing?
Sorry. This would be the halfling bard known as Kieran, and a former friend of Cornelius. He agreed to do this because he's a bit tight on cash. A wandering minstrel doesn't exactly earn a lot of money, so he's joined with a group of people that he's never met before, hoping to make a little bit of change and hopefully some friends along the way.
All right. Matt, why don't you go ahead and describe your character and what they're doing and who they are?
All right. So, before you is a very plain-looking young woman dressed in a very plain sort of kind of a gray and black dress. Very, very, very basic, very plain. long black hair, brown eyes, not particularly attractive or unattractive, just sort of in the middle. She's not really making any sounds at this point, very quiet and reserved. The only thing you hear from her is the small jingle of the alms box that she is holding. This character is named Alexandra, or just Alex for short, who is a monk of Ilmater, hailing from a monastery way out in the mountains of Damara, who went to Neverwinter to speak to Cornelius, not because she herself knows Cornelius, but because her master knows Cornelius. They're old friends, did a lot of things together in their youth, but Alex's master is now too old to make such a journey from the mountains down to the Sword's Coast. So she has been sent in his stead for this task to Phandelver.
Awesome. Beth, why don't you describe your character?
Mirabelle is about almost middle-aged woman at this point with some bluish violet skin, and oddly just always seems to have a cloak around her. Maybe a family heirloom, we're not really sure. But she's currently laying in the back of the wagon, and she has with her a very large tome that she's been paging through, occasionally looking up at Kieran when he pauses his music. She's got kind of burning red eyes and is just very clearly a tiefling. But she doesn't seem to really care about that all that much.
All right. And last but not least, Daniel.
My story begins a decade and a score ago, but that is not of much importance to you, kin. I sit in the edge of the wagon, watching cautiously over my shoulder on the outlook for any goblin or orc attacks on our merry band. Though I am half-orc myself, I do not associate myself with my more brutish elderkin. I chose the path of man, and chose instead to go ahead and serve as a soldier in Cormier's royal army. Alas, for reasons that are befuddling to me and much vexing, I was dishonorably discharged from my post, and sought out employment as a mercenary. Fate, as the star would prove, had plans for me, as I was reunited with my former mentor, Professor Abercrombus, who asked that I accompany this ragtag band of adventurers to Phandelver as their guard. My name is Bolg Skyvor, and may the gods have mercy upon you should I bring out my war maul against you.
That is absolutely badass. Like, it's just 11 on the badass scale. All right. So, you guys have been promised 10 gold pieces each for the successful delivery of the provisions that you have on tow upon this wagon. And it's been about half a day as you guys travel upon the Tribor Trail. And you come along a bend. Who is towing the wagon? Who is carting this? Who is driving the wagon?
The only one here with land vehicle proficiency.
All right.
Fourth
You take
wall's
the
gone
reins.
already.
You take the reins and you come upon the corner of the Tribor Trail, which you guys have on the map right now. And when you take the bend, you see that in front of you, through sort of like the falling leaves gently gracing down, you spot two dead horses sprawled about 50 feet ahead of you on this rough and tumble trail, and it seems to be blocking your path. Each of the horses seem to be peppered and pierced with a few black feathered arrows. sticking out of them, and small, gentle wafts of smoke seem to be kind of just rising out of the ground and around the nearby trees and roots.
Bolg is going to go ahead and pull on the reins of the oxen to get them to halt in front of the carcasses. Whoa there. Hey, monk. Think we're going to get ambushed soon.
Okay. Looking around, do I see anything that indicates that whatever happened here, whatever did this, is still in the area, or have they fled, or was this like a hit and run? What do I see?
You are still some distance away. Bull stopped the oxen cart, and you are now still like about 50 feet away from the scene, but you still see smoke kind of just billowing around the area. It seems like some of the base of the trees have caught fire a little bit on either sides of this dirt path, but you don't see anything. But make a perception check, why don't you?
Okay, first roll of the campaign, guys.
Natural one.
Here we
guys.
go. I feel
And
like I
don't
should
fuck
turn
it
the
up.
dice cam on for the first roll of the campaign. Let's do it. Here we
Why
go.
not? Just do it.
What do we
Why
got?
For
not?
the drama.
Oh, that's terrible. Everyone gets to see how terrible that is.
That'll set a precedent for the rest
Okay,
of the campaign.
that is going to be a grand total of 5.
Grand total
Yes.
5. Okay, what exactly are you trying to look for? What are you trying to ascertain in this?
I'm looking for any signs of movement in the trees or in the bushes. Any sign that we're next in this. If this is sort of like a kill box for these ambushers.
Okay, so the leaves that kind of just fall gracefully in spite of the chaos that seems to have been left behind makes things spotting very difficult, especially gentle smoke that wafts around from the trees that are just cooling off from what looks like a scorching heat that just ripped through the area. You don't see anything, but you hear something. You just hear over the rustling of leaves something come behind from one of the fallen horses peppered with arrows. A small sound.
Well, Bolg, I think we may have company.
Is that why the road stopped?
Kieran is trying to keep himself a little bit hidden as he peeks over the side of the cart and sees the horses. Oh dear. You don't think anyone's gonna hurt us, will you?
If you're lucky, they might just leave your guitar unmolested.
What does a guitar do for you?
No, it's not for me.
Also,
If I-
to anybody. Sorry, you go.
If I had to take a guess, I'd say goblins.
Goblins. Tricky little green men. Oh. You don't think...
Okay, so we're still 50 feet away, right? I'm gonna do something and probably get us all killed. This will be fun. So,
Whoa, low-level combat.
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna yell out in Goblinoid. We know you're there. There's no need to do this.
A voice echoes from the fallen horses. Whatever is making the voices seems to be in pain or something around the horses, but no creature stands up from the horses in front of you, but rather kind of just it cries out back to you, Alex, in Goblin as well.
Arr! Who's over there?
Alright.
Kieran looks at the rest of the group before yelling back, "It's Kieran!"
Do you understand Goblinoid?
Oh, right, Goblinoid, never mind.
You just hear very strange noises.
Kieran, to you, definitely, it sounds like it's in pain, though. It's like having trouble speaking.
Kieran looks to the rest of the party then and says, "We should go help them. Maybe whoever owned those horses is still there."
Considering they speak Goblin, the speaker is goblinoid. I somehow doubt it, but still. I'm gonna grab my broom from the back of the cart, and I'm just gonna hop out of the cart and tell Bolg, well, sitting back here is not going to solve it.
Right. I'll bring the cart up closer, and then I can see about moving those carcasses. You better do your thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk alongside the cart and move with the cart until he stops it.
I go ahead and drive the cart until we're about 10 feet away from the scene.
Okay. Mirabelle and Kieran, what do you guys do? Are you staying on the wagon itself, or are you going to hop off and join Alex or flank the wagon on the opposite side?
I've just sort of sat up in the wagon, and I'm looking forward at the horses, and there seems to be some sort of thinking happening, but Belle's not saying anything.
Kieran is going to stay in the cart, but keep an eye out on their flank and anything that might come out behind them.
Okay. Kieran, while this is happening, the wagon's slowly tumbling. You know, the sound of the wheels kind of just thump, 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 thump over the rocks and pebbles. Make a perception check as you do so. And it's only within a matter of seconds that, Bolg, you come up to the fallen horses. There's a small green-shaped colored hand kind of just clutching over top of one of the downed horses. But what surprises you, or actually what confirms your prediction earlier, was that these are definitely goblin arrows. They're small, very, very rough-looking arrows, and the black feathers are the dead giveaway. These are definitely goblin arrows that have peppered these horses.
Suspected. He goes ahead and he stops the oxen at their designated point, and he gets off of his driving bench so he can go ahead and both protect Alex and to eventually move the horses.
Okay, so as I move forward past the cart, I'm going to kind of reach into the top. Alex is going to reach into the top of her dress and kind of pull out a necklace that was underneath the clothing. It's the symbol of two hands that are bound together with red string. That is the universal symbol of a follower of Ilmater, one of the Ilmatari, which is sort of the universal symbol of, for our viewers, it's sort of like if you want to imagine them as like the Red Cross of Faerun. And I'm going to proceed forward and find the source of this voice.
Okay. Kieran, what was your roll for your perception?
It was a 15.
15, okay. As things transpire, you do not see anything occurring behind you from the left to right side of you. Only this green hand that's kind of just trying to grasp something on the horse, but you don't see what the creature is just yet. You have not confirmed, but you have the suspicion that it's probably a goblin because it's small, and it's about the same size as your hand as well.
Kieran, as he sees the hand, just mutters under his breath, so probably only Mirabelle would hear it, but he just says, "Oh, poor thing."
I know, they're such beautiful horses.
Oh, well, yes, I suppose the horses are badly injured too. I wonder who would do something to them.
All right, so I'm just gonna continue on up to try to find the source of the sound, and I'm going to move in such a way that I'm going to try to be wary of Alex isn't stupid. She knows that this could very well just be an ambush, but still, if there is something in suffering, she has to go try to help it, regardless of whether it's, a trap or not. But she's still going to be wary of and perceptive of if something's flanking us as we approach.
All right, absolutely. With broom in tow, clutch, you head carefully, light of foot, and you actually come upon the two downed horses, definitely deceased at this point. Flies are starting to swarm them. And you definitely see a small creature, definitely a goblin, green-skinned goblin, and it seems to be pinned under one of the downed horses. Its sword just out of reach from it, maybe a foot or two away from it, and one of its hands is on top of the horse's saddle. It seems like its lower body is pinned underneath, and it does not seem to be able to free itself. Its other hand is underneath the other side of the saddle, so it only has one free hand, which was trying to reach towards you or the saddle or something. Upon further inspection, these are definitely Gundren and Cornelius's horses, because you remember them departing.
Alright, I'm gonna walk over to the sword. I'm gonna pick that up and kind of just toss it further out of reach. We won't be needing that, I do hope. Bolg, I'm sorry. Why did I mispronounce your name? Bolg, would you do me a favor with with this horse here?
What?
Lift it off the goblin, of course.
Yeah, sure. 1 sec.
It's not much.
Yeah.
It's not much good for us crushed under the beast.
You want me to do a strength ability check? Dungeon Master?
Sorry. You want to use the oxen to remove them? Like put take a rope and tow it, or do you want to use your brute force and just lift it?
I was considering brute forcing it initially, but yeah, the oxen would probably be a better idea. But for the sake of expediency, I'm just gonna move the horse a little bit so that way so it's not on the goblin.
Okay. As you head over this, you are a huge orc, well over 6 feet. And as you step over and it sees you, it tries to reach for that kicked sword as Alex just kicks it out of it, and it's just squirming with its one free hand.
I'm just gonna speak in Goblinoid. Calm.
And each time it tries to...
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Each time it tries to just make like an inch for the sword, it seems to be in horrendous pain. Like, you think there's a good chance that this goblin's lower body is just completely crushed.
I'll speak to it in Goblinoid again. Stop squirming. We're not going to hurt you. We couldn't possibly hurt you any more than the horse already has. You're just making it worse.
And it will respond to you in Goblin, of course.
Keep him away from me.
And it tries to do its best to point, but you can see that its vision is very faint. It's probably lost blood if it's hurt from the lower portion, and it's struggling to string together words.
Bolg, I don't think this one has long. And then I'll go back to speaking Goblinoid. I'm not going to mention anything about it, imminently dying, because that's not conductive to what I need right now. Can you tell me what happened here while my friend here frees you from the horse?
You can see that its breath quickens as it tries to draw air into its lungs. It's probably at least has a collapsed lung of some sort. It's wheezing and it's kind of frantically trying to string together words. And he says to you,
Ambush. Dwarf human. Fire everywhere.
And where were they taken? Where are the rest of your band? We can't just leave you in the middle of the road. We must return you to your people.
People. And Clark left me to die. I have no people.
Goblins aren't exactly known for their stellar teamwork, after all.
Yes, it seems this one was abandoned after getting trapped under the horse. They didn't even attempt to free him, poor thing, but not unexpected. Unfortunately, Bolg, I think... Okay, actually, can I actually confirm any of its wounds? Like, because I have medicine proficiency, would I know for certain that basically, like, trying to lift this horse is just going to kill it faster?
Yeah. No, you don't need to make a check for that. You know that this thing is probably just going to die when you relieve it. It's probably just going to lose all its blood.
Bolg, I'm afraid if we lift the horse, it's going to die. Well, it's going to die anyways. There's no saving it short of healing magics. But I don't have such things. The best we can do is to relieve its suffering.
That's true. But Bull turns back to the caravan. Boy! Music boy!
Kieran's ears perk up as he looks over the side of the caravan. Yes, sir.
You think you can go ahead and play some healing tunes for this goblin?
Oh, I can try, certainly. Been working on something new, given how beautiful and lovely this day is, and he starts to ramble on a little bit more before shaking. There you go.
Then come up here and perform. You could save this man's life, possibly.
Kieran runs up with his tiny little guitar, which some of you might recognize is more of a ukulele than anything, but he keeps calling it a guitar. And he looks at this poor goblin, and then looks back at you two. Will moving the horse hurt him more?
Oh, quite certainly. Moving the horse will probably kill him instantly.
Kieran...
But couldn't he heal him first before we... Why am I adopting your accent? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That happens. Anyway. Why don't we heal him before moving the horse?
Kieran bites his lip.
I suspect we'll have to do them more or less simultaneously to not re-injure it.
The goblin, as you guys are conversating, like, it's just going with its scrawny little green hand, trying to reach to the saddle bag that it's got on top of it.
While they're discussing what to do, I see that it's reaching for the saddlebag, so I'm gonna look in the saddlebag and figure out what it's trying to get.
It is definitely out of its reach, so as you just reach to the saddlebag, it cries out sort of like a no! And in Goblin, of course. And you reaching the saddlebags, you actually open to find 3 flasks of some sort of red shimmering liquid.
Oh, there we go. Okay, before I get too meta, do I know what these are?
You absolutely, being a monk of Ilmater, these are definitely some sort of healing tonics.
Oh, well, that's a bit more convenient now, isn't it?
Or alchemist fire.
Or alchemist fire. I mean, either way, its suffering is alleviated, right? Right?
You'll find out one way or another, wouldn't you?
Would a Arcana check be helpful, or would that be under medicine?
No. Alex is definitely certain that they're healing elixirs. They don't have that orange tinge of a alchemist fire, or that like thick goopiness to them. So these are definitely some sort of healing tonic.
I imagine Alex would make that joke anyways, because the Ilmatari are very big on dark humor.
Would Kieran see those tonics, or has Alex told us?
Yeah, as Alex takes them out, I don't think she's being discreet about it. She just pulls them out away, and the goblin is trying to go, "Meow!" and sort of thing.
I'll just talk to the goblin. So this is what you were reaching for. You could have told us these were here a moment ago, and you would have gotten help faster.
Its head just collapses into the dirt, and it's like, ah. It looks like it has a kill me now, please look on its face.
Kieran just smiles down at the goblin, and despite the language barrier, sits down in front of the goblin and says, "Don't worry, you're in good hands now. Just try to relax." And as assumably Bolg and Alex try to help the goblin, he'll just play on his ukulele and try to sing, sing to hopefully calm the goblin down, despite, again, the language barrier.
Okay.
All right, make a performance check, and Alex, yes, continue.
I guess I'll administer one of these potions, and I'm gonna try to time this with Bolg here. If Bolg will help me out, I want to time this so that we lift the horse, administer the potion as quickly as possible after lifting the horse. So hopefully it doesn't like instantly bleed out and die in the next 6 seconds.
Absolutely.
That's the objective here. And I'm going to keep kind of I'm not going to... Like, when I administer it, I'm going to kind of keep a hand on the goblin so that... Because I'm expecting it to spring up and run away, but I'm not done asking this thing questions, so hopefully it won't bounce on me.
So what I need from you guys, respectively, Bolg and Alex, is a strength athletics check to lift the horse while timing it with a precise medicine check coupled by the soothing tunes of
medicine check.
Kieran's ukulele. Belle, what are you doing at the current moment while you're just watching all this go on? Like this is like a like house.
Belle has put her book in like the driver's seat of the cart now and has been sort of looking down at the book and looking back up and looking down, and when she finally notices that Alex was reaching in his saddlebags, she's gonna pause for a moment and yell out over to the party, "Alex, were there any biscuits in there?"
I'm afraid not. Actually, I haven't really searched. Maybe.
Kieran calls back to Mirabelle. Check my traveler's pack. I have some travel cake in there.
Oh, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm. It has raisins and it's whole wheat and honey and nuts.
I'm surrounded by gourmets.
What? I was saving it for third lunch.
All right. What is your athletics check?
I just. Well, now, nat 20.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Damn.
Roll.
Let's see what I get. Oh, I got a really good
that-
roll too. Not quite a nat 20, but I got, see, with medicine, 23.
With my
23.
with my bonus to athletics, that comes out to a 25.
25. All right. 23 for the medicine. And Kieran, what is your performance? How well did you do?
16.
Okay.
As he's not quite like super performance ready, but he does try to play the song that he was writing on the road.
So what you're saying is you have ever so slight performance issues.
Well, you know what they say, 1 in every 10 men.
Bolg and
Does that count? Does that still count towards you? Because you're only half.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm perfectly normal size. The rest of you are just giants for some reason.
This is just casual conversation, Bolg. You're just lifting this horse and you're making jokes and such things, and you're not even grunting or anything. This is like easy liftings for you. What is going on? Like, what does this look like, Bolg and Alex, as you guys time this together?
It is Bolg is able to lift the hindquarters of the horse as Alex administers the health tonic.
Yes, and I'm gonna administer the tonic with one hand and kind of keep the other palm down, sort of on the chest of the goblin, because despite Alex not being particularly strong, the goblin is very small compared to me, even at my stature, so I can hopefully hold it down.
Okay, so as the horse comes up off of the goblin, you notice that its body is just smushed into the earth of the trail itself. And before it can even cry out in pain, it opens its mouth. You can see that it wants to scream as like that pressure has just been relieved from it. You just look. It just goes down its gullet. And roll 2d4 plus 2 points of healing for this
2d4
goblin.
plus 2 coming right up. Let's see. Oh god, that's terrible. I'm sorry.
You might have just killed the goblin.
2d4 plus 2, so that's a whopping 4. I rolled 2 ones.
Yes.
4. Okay.
Poor goblin.
The goblin, luckily, is stabilized but passes out at that moment.
Okay, that I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. Now he's lost consciousness, but at least his guts aren't all over the road, so that's a plus.
Make sure he hasn't lost his trousers.
Kieran
Do
stops
goblins
playing
wear
and
trousers?
You notice that its bones, its leg bones, start to mend and heal, but all it's wearing is a loincloth. It's got sort of this weird, like, just piece of cowhide leather on its chest. Like, it's probably like some sort of breastplate of leather, but it's not got pants, if that's what you're wondering.
Well,
I mean, I have an extra pair if you think.
there we go. Let's say that we lost Isaac for a second there. Well, Kieran, if you'll help me search the rest of these saddlebags, we need to figure out exactly everything we can about what happened here, and hopefully when this fella wakes up, we can figure out where they were taken.
Kieran gets up and puts his ukulele on his back by the strap and rubs his tiny little hands together. Yes, ma'am.
And Bolg, we should probably start moving these horses. It's going to take a while to clear the road.
Volk with horse quarters on over his shoulder is already on it as he goes ahead and puts that section of horse down by the roadside.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely like no trouble for you to move these horses, especially one of them is a dwarven-sized horse, as well. Very stocky, but not very tall. The other one is sized for that of a human. So these are definitely, in your mind, no doubt, Cornelius's and Gundren's horses that they took with them. As you guys are doing so, you guys are rummaging through this crime scene. Essentially, you're going like CSI, like Neverwinter, and I want everyone to roll perception or investigation. Choosing either skill will reveal different things. So
Just
you guys,
a second, I'm putting those D4s in dice jail.
just barely save the goblin.
I have a 0 in both, so I'm just gonna go with investigation because that's what I should have been doing.
All right.
So, yeah,
I rolled. I'm making up for my shit rolls here. Okay, so I've got. You said perception or investigation.
Yeah, either will reveal separate facts.
All right.
Around this round.
24.
In which one?
Perception.
Okay.
Maribel, what are you rolling?
I just crit failed, so that's gonna be a 6 to investigation.
Before we get the actual what happens here, Twitch chat has a question for everyone. What to go with your characters? What are your alignments?
I am neutral good.
Neutral good as well.
Lawful good.
Chaotic good, but subject to change.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a very good way to put it, especially
And the
for
dungeon
this campaign.
master is, of course, lawful evil.
No. Actually, I am neutral, like true neutral most of the time, but I can be neutral evil
There
sometimes.
You go.
Dungeon Master isn't an alignment. Dungeon Master is a physics engine.
Okay, so Kieran, what did you get?
I got a beautiful 5.
5.
Amazing.
Okay. All right. And Bold?
I got a 12 in perception.
All right. 12 in perception. Bolg, actually, I'll come back to you, Bolg. Belle, you kind of just walk around looking for those biscuits that you're just trying to go through the saddlebags because you know they have biscuits. You know Cornelius has biscuits. That's a thing.
Was my travel cake not enough?
And underneath your foot, as you're just walking over to the horses where Bolg moved them, you hear a underneath your boot.
I lift my boot up and look under it to see what went snap.
You notice that underneath your feet is actually glass, and you kind of just broke this. It's a lens. It is a lens from a spectacle, a pair of spectacles. And
Do I
these
recognize these?
You absolutely recognize it. These are the spectacles that Cornelius wears when he reads. And he seems to have misplaced them. He has a knack for misplacing his spectacles. And this seems to be probably not his fault to begin with. But it seems like you just stepped on one of his lenses and they just popped right out and cracked. The other one seems to be okay, however. That is what you find on your natural 1 for investigation.
That's unfortunate. I'm sure he can fix them later. If not, reading with one eye still works. I will pick up the spectacles and put them away in my bag.
Okay, you do so. Karen, you are distracted by all the lovely colors of leaves that are just falling around you, and it kind of just contrasts and it falls onto this unconscious goblin, and it kind of just contrasts its nice green skin.
To anybody actually watching, Kieran kind of just giggles into the air as he starts strumming away at his ukulele again.
And Bolg, what did you roll? And what skill was it?
12 in perception.
12 in perception. Okay. You find nothing out of the ordinary within the area. Everything seems to be okay. There doesn't seem to be anything suspicious. But you do notice that there is a different reaction on Alex's face. And Alex, you said you rolled like a 20-something?
24 perception.
24. Yeah, precisely. With a 24, Alex, you kind of just I assume that you're probably just like next to this goblin, making sure that it's okay and not just dying right away from any aftershock from the horse being removed from it. You would feel tremors as you just sat beside this goblin through the earth. Tremors that seem to vibrate and shake the ground. Very, very rhythmic tremors too. They're very frequent. They're not they don't have like a long space between them. It sounds like foot hitting the earth. Feet hitting the earth actually.
Bulg, do you feel that?
Feel what?
And when Alex draws your attention, Bull, you kind of just start to listen and you start to feel the earth around you shake too, very rhythmically. And you, being a soldier, you would instantly recall this a very similar feeling. Sounds like a march.
Someone's coming for us.
And we haven't cleared the horses from the road yet, right? It's okay. Can I get any sense of direction?
This is coming from in front of you.
So up the
Probably
road.
up the road. It's up the road. You're not sure if it's on the path or on the sides where the forests are, but you definitely sense that it's coming from in front of you. The horses at this point, Bulk just probably cleared the last horse as he kind of just rendezvous with you, and you kind of point this out to him.
Well, I'm not sure we should move forward until we have some idea of what that is. I'd hate to drive the cart right into the bulk of a goblin raiding party or something.
I agree.
The sounds at this moment, like as you guys conversate, they grow a little bit louder, and you start to hear them not only in the earth itself, but around the forest.
Can I make out? So there's just the footsteps, right? I don't hear any voices yet.
No, it sounds like a forced march, like a light jogging momentum following this band of whatever they are. And you can hear, you got really high roll, so you start to hear the sounds grow louder and louder, and a jingle of like armor is mixed into this rhythmic march in the distance.
Okay, what do I want to do with this? So let me just kind of reiterate this. So it sounds like they're coming down the road towards us.
It's coming from that direction.
Alright, so we cleared the horses. Is there any... There's probably not any good way there's probably no way we can hide the cart, so they're gonna see the cart one way or the other. And we don't really want to fight the bulk of whatever this is.
Make another perception check.
Yes, sir. Oh, that's not bad. 19.
Do you have survival, actually?
I don't... Let me check. I do not.
But you have perception.
I have perception. I have acrobatics, insight, medicine, perception, religion.
Okay, with the perception check, you are able to note that the forest that surrounds you is thick, but not too thick that you can't drive a cart, however slowly, through the terrain.
Belg, I don't know about you, but perhaps we should get off the road.
That is only if you wish to salvage your wagon of provisions and get off the road and try to cover it or hide it or something.
Belg, perhaps we should get off the road and move the wagon off the road. Because
that would be best. I don't want to face the host in these conditions anyway.
Yes, we're not exactly a fighting force.
And at that point, you hear a loud horn.
Yep, that's definitely a war horn. Let's get the hell out of here.
Agreed. Kieran, Mirabelle, back in the cart. We're moving
Kieran
out.
scrambles back into the car. Mirabelle, you hear him say, "Oh, that horn would make a lovely addition to my next song."
Oh, God.
I have
I-
a question. What have we done with the goblin?
I have
Is
the
it
go-
just
I
in
have
the
the
road?
I have the goblin. I'm taking the goblin. It's mine.
We're
Okay.
goblin napping him.
I am goblin napping him. It's mine.
I will
New-
happily jump back in the cart then and
Well-
start inspecting this goblin.
Well, here is my thought in character as to why I would take the goblin. It said that it was abandoned. It had no people. It's still technically injured, and if I can persuade it to be on our side, it can tell us where the presumably kidnapped people have been taken to.
Yeah, man, go for it. I do have a question, though, and this is probably better answered by Mirabelle. Is there any of my travel cake left?
How much did you have to start with?
I would probably have had let's say 5 granola bars worth of travel cake.
Okay, you're down by 2.
That is acceptable.
More
Karen
importantly,
hops-
I have a question for Bolg. Did you take the saddlebags from the horses?
I did not take the saddlebags from the horses.
I will request that you take the saddlebags from the horses because Cornelius is very fond of his things, and I would not want to lose them for him.
If we have time for that, we're sort of about to get run over by God knows what.
Another horn sounds in the background. Just this loud, thunderous horn.
Karen
I'm
looks
not
at the
I'm not concerned with the saddlebags. I'm just taking the goblin, and getting in the cart. We need to go.
And
Karen-
at this
There you go.
point, you can feel the earth shaking and what sounds like armor rustling in the distance.
Bolg is going to forego the saddlebags because life is more important, and is going to go ahead and move the cart out of the way of the road.
Kieran looks at Mirabelle and he just goes, "We can get the bag later," as he's eating around a bar of travel cake.
Where exactly did we drag the horses to? Are they just on the side of the road, or are they under
they're-
foliage?
They're just on the side of the road.
Okay, I'm gonna make
Um,
poor decisions.
Wait. I have a thought. So actually, no, that probably wouldn't work. I'm assuming the cart is gonna leave deep indentions, in the road where we turned off. I can't easily hide that.
The ground itself, it's actually covered in a fair amount of leaves, so it's very difficult to tell about tracks
Okay.
unless you clear the leaves. So you guys think that you're probably okay in that regard.
All right. I'm just gonna stay low in the back of the cart and hope that all is well.
Okay. Is anyone here proficient in survival?
I am pretty sure we are not.
Okay.
That
I'm
might-
pretty sure we are not.
That might have been Bradley, but Bradley is not here.
All right. So you guys mount up and start riding into the forest, trying to avoid and stay clear of this loud marching ruckus ahead of you. And as you guys do so, the forest itself starts to clear. It starts to become more of a opening and a grassy area. And when you start to roll the wagon, something clanks underneath of one of the wheels. And at this point, you can hear the sounds of the marching army. Let's just assume that's an army because I'm going to throw an army at level 1s.
Yes. Absolutely.
They start to almost veer off from your direction as they continue down the tribal trail of which you guys had rode. And at this point, that loud clang rings underneath of one of your wagon wheels. And if anyone were to look over the side of it, it makes this very every time the wagon wheel makes a rotation, and you can see that there is vividly a bear trap affixed to one of the wheels, narrowly missing one of the oxen.
Kieran just looks over the side of the caravan at the bear trap. There are bears in these woods?
Bears. I've always wanted one.
Oh yeah, their ears are very cute.
Will you two stop with the bears for once?
Can you all just be quiet? Let's not attract whatever that is.
Speaking of which, can we see what the army is composed of in terms of race?
Yeah, you can try to make a perception check. It's through a dense forest, and leaves that are falling.
Damn.
But you can try to make a perception check into the distance.
I got a 12.
12, okay.
I got a 13. I'm not much better.
If this doesn't work, might I do something?
How do you mean?
Like, if no one can see through the forest, can I stealth through and maybe hide in a bush and see if I can't scout?
Oh, that's okay. So you want to hop off of the wagon and have a look, because you want to buy valuable information for your companions.
Only if like they already can't see who it is.
5
Like, if
minutes
they
later,
can-
we're gonna have to be removing Kieran from a bear trap.
It is, yeah. As you guys can see so far, it's very hard to tell if there are bear traps underneath the thick trees and the garbage that's kind of just littered the forest. But yes, no, I don't think anyone's gotten it because everyone rolled like under a 15 or something.
I got a 10, so I'm pretty sure I see the back of Bolg's head.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful half work. But no, you guys don't see anything. And Kieran, did you actually want to continue with your plan?
I would like to make that stealth check.
Yeah, everyone that you can see everyone's curious of what they're trying to like face up against. So you hop off the wagon and begin wandering with your light halfling feet. Go ahead and make a stealth check.
19.
Describe how you duck and weave through the forest.
It's not actually that stealthy to anyone actually watching. Kieran hops over the side, and as he's bouncing from one foot to the next, feet barely making a sound on the floor, he's kind of just whispering to himself, "Dun dun 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 dun," and eventually manages to situate himself in a bush, just where he has a very clear viewing of the road.
It's almost as if the creatures that are marching in a forced march add sort of like this rhythmic beat to your own music, and it kind of like you feel like you should get louder because they won't even hear you probably, and but you manage to pull it off. You get close enough to the point where you can see these fairly tall humanoid creatures clad in like what looks like chainmail, a few leather pauldrons, and they have spears, swords, shields, helmets. They're definitely not an orc, not like Bolg, but they're like between a goblin and an orc. Make a lore check. You can use history.
History?
Yeah,
Okay.
history, nature is good too if you want. If you have that,
both
whichever one's you're proficient in.
I have 0 in both of them, so. Oh, that's not bad. That's a 14.
14. These creatures to you've kind of traveled the lands and you kind of accumulate your own small collection of information, lore tales and stuff. These creatures are hobgoblins. And you see a small squadron of them, probably close to 8. If you're not mistaken, the shapes and the things and the trees in the way, probably at least 8, if not more.
Of 8 hobgoblins. Is
Yeah.
there anybody that looks like a clear like leader in this party?
You think that there is probably a leader. They're marching in kind of like 2 files, and there's one leading the charge, and they're just in a forced march. They're in a sort of like a slow jog pace, and the armor just rings each time they make a unison movement.
Okay, another question. Can I like maybe like while I'm watching them, can like whip out my notebook and try and like quickly sketch one of them just for visual reference for the party?
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
All right, so Kieran sits there trying to stay hidden as he pulls out his notebook and just scribbles down the face of one of them, or armor if they're wearing a helmet,
Okay. Karen, just give me a quick performance check.
to see how good it is.
Not to see how good it is, because
Oh god. 21.
21. Okay. So Kieran is gone for 5 minutes as you guys pulled the wagon to a stationary halt, especially that bear trap on one of the wheels not helping. Probably one of you guys have to get rid of it as well. And within that 5 minutes, Kieran's gone for quite a bit of time, but you guys are pretty sure that you're out of sight from the hobgoblins that you do not know of yet. And
Bulg is going to go ahead and get off and take care of the bear trap.
Okay, good. I didn't have to ask. I was gonna say, Bulg, can you do this
I know.
as slowly as you can, so we don't make a lot of noise?
Alex, have you ever customized the mechanisms for a bear trap before?
No.
The amount of pressure that they can yield onto a man's fingers can break them in half upon a mere chomp. I will be as careful as orchishly possible. Okay, what kind of strength or athletics?
No, this is something that you can just do because it's fairly simple. As a soldier, you have some experience with traps, and this is not difficult for someone of your caliber.
Okay, I just go ahead and I open the trap up again and set it so that way it does not spring close on me, and then put it back into the forest for it to go ahead and Actually, Bulg takes a look at the bear trap, decides to close it up softly, and then put it in the supply trap.
Okay, so you have acquired one bear trap
Yes.
for your
Oh,
own
that brings
personal
back
use.
memories.
I'm so happy.
This might prove useful later on.
Yes, well, let's hope it's on animals and not on people.
Where can I get that bear?
Kieran, at this point, you would have returned to the group. But as you do so, all of you do so, you kind of have like you've stayed in this area for a minute, and sort of a gust of wind comes and blows into your direction, and from quite a vast distance away, probably close to maybe 100 feet, you smell burning wood, the smell of charcoal and wood.
Oh.
Kieran sniffs at the air and furrows his brows as he makes his way back to the party. And assuming I make it back there, like...
Yeah, no, you make it back.
nothing
You're
happened.
there.
All right, so the party and says, it was a group of hobgoblins. All of them wearing armor. I'm not sure what for, but there were about 8 of them, I think. And he flips open his notebook to show them one of them. And I don't know if the rest of you got a whiff of it, but something's burning down over there.
You, Kieran, have a immense sense for food. You smell meat cooking in the distance.
It's not just fire, it's food. Somebody's down there. Do you think maybe it's worth checking out?
Do you think they have tea?
Mirabelle. Tea? Really? I have a pot in my bag. Why didn't you just ask?
Yes, well, I'm more concerned with the hobgoblins currently.
Are they gone?
Yes, but
Did
why
they
are they on the
leave?
march, and why are they so well equipped? That doesn't bode well to wherever they're going.
Or where they have come from. Phandelver is up the road, if you remember. We should probably hurry over there just in case.
Okay, so have they passed such that us
The
moving-
rhythmic movement seems to fade and wane almost to a silence. Now all that remains is the smell of food, of roasting meat in the distance, and the gentle cascade of leaves that hit the ground, as well as like the oxen that are just kind of just standing around.
Okay.
Kieran's tummy rumbles, and he just looks down and pokes it and says, "Shh, I already fed you."
Thank you, just random thing. Thank you, BM, for the donation there. That's very kind.
Thanks.
He says the forecast calls for rain.
God darn it. God bless you, BMO.
Okay, so I think they're gone. So, all right, I think it was safe to move forward, but let's be careful. We should definitely
Go
head
back and get the saddlebags.
I'm not that. Are they really that important? We need to
They're
get to.
important to me.
Well, if we get back to the road, we'll try and get that, but we need to get to town and make sure that it's still there.
Well, Volg is going to go ahead and get back into the driver's seat to get moving to Phandelver.
Okay. You guys mount up once more, and you start heading out of the forest of which you went into, and you start to return to the road. And you can see on the road that there are heavy footprints that line the trail, definitely of a small army that just wandered through, narrowly missing you guys, because of some fancy driving you guys got there, especially with that bear trap. So you guys want to recover the saddlebags?
Yes.
Or at least Mirabelle wants to.
If Mirabelle insists, but we should really get a move on.
Kieran will help Mirabelle grab the bags.
These are nice, fancy leather saddlebags. They have a little bit of scuffing to them. It seems one of them actually is peppered with a few arrows from the goblins that seem to ambush Cornelius and Gundren. But aside from that, they're pretty good. Nothing left in them. A few crumbs in one of them. Unfortunately, it looks like the goblins ate whatever contents were in here. But you do successfully recover the 2 saddlebags.
All right, there's that. So if we do that, now let's get to town, I suppose, and make sure that the town is still there. Perhaps they can tell us more about what the hell's going on.
Okay. So within a short journey, about the rest of the half of the day, sunset ensues, and you pull upon the town of Phandelver.
Did the goblin ever wake up, by the way?
Actually, that's a good question.
Because I'm kind of guarding this goblin.
Yeah. So sort of by the time you get to the edge of town, you can see Phandelver in the distance. Your desired location to be. It starts to kind of just shiver a little bit. It still seems like it's in pain, but it's not fully conscious yet, but it seems to be regaining some strength.
Does it seem to be aware of it when I'm playing with its ears?
Which one? There's one ear that actually is kind of like something chewed at the ear. Like it took a whole bite of its like little flappy ear and it's just missing a chunk. The other one seems to be okay. It's got like a gold piercing in it, a gold ringed piercing.
I would like to inspect the chomped one and see if I can identify what ate part of its ear.
You can make a nature or survival check when doing so.
Let's see, nature check. That is going to be a 19 nature check.
Oh, definitely a wolf. A big, bad wolf.
Hopefully it's not wearing a nightgown.
It's absurd. Wolves wear trousers.
Okay, so if it's stirring, I'm just gonna kind of hold the broom that I had earlier, and I don't want to like... I don't want to pin it down necessarily, but I do want to just be kind of holding on to it so that if it does jump up and try to flee, it's going to get a smack. More than likely, because I need... As much as I would like to alleviate its suffering, there's also kidnapped victims that I need to locate.
Absolutely. So you just hold guard with the broom while Bulg continues to drive the oxen cart. Do you want to forcefully wake it up, or do you want to leave it be until you...
I'd like to speak with it before we enter town, because somehow I don't think bringing a goblin into town is going to end well.
Okay. So if you try to, like, use your broom, you kind of just jab at it, just to prod it to see if it wakes. It starts to stir and go...
You'd best wake up before we pull into the nearest human settlement.
When it regains consciousness and a little bit of its strength and it realizes just where exactly it is, it just yelps out and it tries to scuttle away from underneath of your broom. And it tries to back up and like the back up against the bed of the wagon.
I'll speak to it in Goblinoid. I don't intend to hurt you, but I do need you to answer some questions, as I'd like to find the people that vanished in your little ambush.
It says to you,
Who are you?
I'm a member of the Ilmatari. It's okay. I'm not. If you know our. Sorry, lost my train of thought. If you know our people, you know that I genuinely won't hurt you, but I would like you to help me find those people.
he says to you,
Why? Why did you save Blarg?
Because you were trapped and harmless. I'm not going to kill an completely defenseless foe.
it takes a moment to look around, trying to look for Kieran, Mirabelle, trying to not make eye contact with the big half-orc.
Kieran waves at the little goblin. Hello there.
And notices sort of like the provisions, the tools that you have around you guys as well. And then it looks towards you, Alex, and it says,
What do you want to know?
I want to know where your band has taken the people that were riding those horses.
it says,
There were no bodies, so I assume they're not dead. You don't just carry off corpses.
it says to you,
I will show you if you give food.
Okay. That seems like a fair trade. Let me look at my pack. I have food. I will trade him one of my rations for this information.
okay. Do you just hand him the ration, yeah?
Yeah, I'll give him the ration, and I've got a water skin with some water in it if he needs. Obviously, he probably
Okay.
needs water.
With the ration given to him, he just devours it. The jerky, the bread, the pickles, whatever have you in your ration. He just eats it like a piranha. And like all in the blink of an eye, it is just almost gone, and he just stuffs himself like unbelievably quickly. And he says,
More!
Now that was an entire day's worth of food. That's all you'll get until you give us more information.
he says to you,
Cave in forest. Kragma hideout.
Yes, and you shall lead us to it once we have made sure that the town is still intact over here. Do you know anything about the army of hobgoblins that just marched blazingly down the street?
he says to you, he looks quizzically at this notion, but he then begins to say,
Cannot be loyal to Clark.
Oh, so we've got more than one. It's speaking in common again. So we have more than one goblinoid band in these woods. That's just excellent.
This does not bode well.
Yes, well, when we get to Phandelver, I'll say that this one is my prisoner, and hopefully that will be enough for the local authorities until we get the information we need.
Okay.
And then I'll talk to the goblin again. Now, you will show us where this cave is, yes? If you show us where this cave is, I'll set you free, but we're moving into a human settlement very shortly, so I will tell the authorities there that you are my prisoner so that they do not seek their own justice upon you.
Plarg says to you,
Plag does not wish to return, nor go to town. Give food, set Plag free.
Yes, that's not going to happen until we know where exactly this cave is, and something tells me you can't read a map.
Meanwhile, while this is going on, Mirabelle has been busy with a pen in her book, and she holds it up to the party so that they can see a very poorly drawn doodle of a goblin with part of an ear missing.
You guys. Okay,
Kieran points at it and just claps while laughing.
Now, I'll talk to the goblin again.
I mean, you're the only one who can.
Yeah, I'm the only one who can. Now,
Yeah.
you can always ask the others what they think should do.
yeah, I'll relay I'll relay the results of this conversation to mostly to Bolg, because everyone else seems to be playing with doodles right now. So, what do you think we should do here? Should we should we go straight to this cave, or should we go to town first?
Let's go to town and get our pay, and then we can go see about getting rid of some goblins.
Yes, but what should we do with this one? He doesn't seem to willingly want to come along with us, so how shall we proceed?
I mean, you can always leave him with me, and he'll stay with you until we can figure out what we're gonna do. He apparently doesn't like.
Yes, well, I didn't want to hold him against his will, but
Kieran,
considering he was complicit in the ambush, he's not exactly an innocent either.
Exactly.
Kieran overhears this and kind of says, well, perhaps there's something he wants? Something that will make him stay.
So while you guys are talking amongst yourselves in common, of course, and this creature does not appear to understand you, but it looks worriedly at when you guys speak amongst yourselves. Yeah.
Okay. I'll offer him this. I'll say, alright, I'll give you more food, but you must stay with us until you can lead us to this cave, because we must find the people that the band you were with, took. It's most important that we track them down.
Give Plag food now.
Okay, fine. I'll give him another ration.
All right. You give him another ration. He takes it and he actually shoves it underneath of that cowhide leather chest piece that he has, which is just like a rough cut in shape that looks like a vest, essentially. And he just stuffs it underneath his chest. And at that point, he actually does something that takes you by surprise. He actually starts to jump out of the wagon. You may make some sort of you may do something at this point because he is trying to flee from you. What do you want to do?
I see. I'm gonna try to trip him up with the broom that I'm holding.
Okay, that is going to be making a strength athletics check against him.
Oh Jesus!
Here we go.
Strength athletics. This is gonna be great. You guys, actually, I'm not gonna roll that die. Let's roll this one. Oh, I dropped it. Come on, roll good. Oh shit! It's gonna get away.
What'd you roll?
That's a 3.
Okay, it actually gets a 21, so it just hops off the side of the wagon bed, and it just hits the ground running. Actually, it hits the ground, it collapses because it's still in pain, and it just starts to cry.
Kieran peeks over the side. Kieran peeks over the side of the caravan and hops down, and just holds out a hand for the goblin, and smiles.
Like the wagon is still going away because it has not been stopped yet. So you're just extending your hand as it just rolls slowly by away. you can see that the ration has fallen out of its chest, of its vest, its leather vest, and it's just toppled over, and he's trying to reach it. It seems like he's done more harm to himself because he chose to attempt to run away.
All right.
Can I jump out of the caravan?
I'm gonna call the Bolg. Stop the cart, Bolg. We have a man overboard.
Bull goes ahead and pulls on the reins of the oxen.
I'm gonna hop down and go over to the goblin and I'm just gonna get rope out of my pack and try to tie him up, and I'm gonna say, now this is for your own good. You're just going to aggravate your wounds if you keep doing that.
Kieran hops out of the caravan and runs over and says, is that really necessary? I mean, what does he want?
Goblins don't care.
He wants
for
to
other-
leave, clearly, but he's the only one that knows where the victims went, and if he doesn't want to do the right thing by leading us to them, then he will be handed over to the human authorities.
Is this goblin like just sitting down? Like doesn't look like he can really get up?
No, he's actually on the ground. It looks like he's probably sprained an ankle or something, and he's trying to crawl over to the ration as Alex is taking a rope to
All right.
it.
So Kieran, seeing that he's reaching for the ration, points to it and looks at the goblin and says, "Food. You want food?"
Well, yes, I've given him food. Haven't you been paying attention, Kieran?
Okay, yeah, but you're talking in goblin.
Yes, but you'd see me handing him food.
I don't know that that's like a long-term thing that he wants, just that you gave him a ration.
Yes,
So,
he's
Kieran.
simply trying to leave, Kieran, but he has the knowledge we require. So
Kieran,
I've given him the option that he will either help us and do the right thing, or I'll turn him over to the people in Phandelver and they can enact their own justice.
Kieran looks at her and says, "Do you think you could translate some stuff for me?"
Sure if you wish, but I'm still tying him up.
Kieran sits by the goblin just in front of the ration and opens his own bag to see all the food inside of there, because all of Kieran's rations are things that he's made himself. So
Right.
instead of just, like dry bread and jerky or like hardtack, he has, like grilled mackerel and like hard-boiled eggs, the homemade travel cake that he had, stuff like that. And he says, "I can make you more of this if you stay with us."
I'll just translate whatever he's saying, making it clear that it's coming from the halfling and not from me.
You can see that there is sort of like a glimmer in his eyes when he looks at like this hoard of food, and the aroma just kind of just wafting out of it. That he did not actually pick this up sooner, probably because all of it's going on. But he's trying to wiggle out. Like, he's not trying to wiggle out because it's not really possible for him. He's kind of just in a incapacitated state. But he really wants your food, and he was trying to like move over to your bag as you were tying him up, Alex. He says to you, or speaks to well, he's looking at you. He's conversing with you, Kieran, but in Goblin, and he says, Alex, as you can hear this,
Give back. We'll show you way.
Kieran looks at Alex.
We lost Daniel's camera, apparently.
We did?
Rip.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
We can't live without the glorious hat.
No, we cannot. The hat
Hat
must
will
live.
lead us to victory.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna say to him, now that's not a very fair deal, and you know it.
Kieran looks at her and says, "What did he say?"
He wants your entire backpack.
Kieran thinks about this for a second and pulls out one hard-boiled egg, and then looks at Alex and says, "Tell him this. As long as he complies with us, goes to town with us, I'll keep giving him food, but not the whole thing at once."
Alright, and I'll just keep translating for Kieran.
all right. Make a persuasion check, but you have to do it through Alex.
Oh, jeez.
Oh god. So I'm using Alex's persuasion
No.
score.
I think Alex is rolling.
Yeah, so
Oh, God.
persuasion check. Let's go, boys. That's terrible. Actually, it's not super. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. That's gonna be an 11.
It says to you,
Now go down, humans.
Do you think he needs a hug? I will get out of the cart and approach.
No, I think a hug would probably damage him further.
But it might
Here.
work.
Kieran closes the bag and says, "No, not until we go to town. Just for a little bit."
it says to you, well, actually, so I'm assuming that Alex is going to continue to translate anything that Kieran says.
I mean,
I'll just
hoping.
I'll just make that assumption, so
Yeah.
it speed things up. It says to you, Plark says to you,
Down, humans kill goblins.
Well, we saved your life. We won't let anybody kill you now.
I'm sure they'll be understanding once they know that you are leading us to kidnap victims, but if you have a choice here, Goblin. You can either do the right thing and help us find these people, or I'll let the humans enact their own justice based on their laws, because you were a participant in that ambush.
Humans, red cape, kill goblins.
and it's trying to squirm out.
I'm just gonna, since he's tied up, I'm just gonna like hoist him up and take him head back to the cart with him. You're not getting a choice in the matter. I tried to deal with you favorably, but if you're not going to comply, we'll just have to let the humans get it out of you.
Okay.
Kieran,
As-
bless
if
the
you're
set.
just-
There you go.
If you're hoisting him up into it, he's just gonna kick frantically and try to just wiggle as much as he can. But obviously, he's completely tied up, and he does not get any. He does not gain any ground doing so. So you just have like a screaming goblin bundle with you.
Yeah, Kieran runs after Alex. Oh, be careful with him.
He'll be fine. It's fine, Kieran.
I mean, he did hurt himself just falling out of the caravan.
I'm being very careful, okay? Just calm down. It's fine.
If we're all finished with all the distractions, we need to get the Phandelver.
Yes, let's move on. I'm just gonna kind of like press, like as I like put him back in the cart, I'm just gonna sit across from him and just kind of press the broom against him so that if he attempts to do any crazy flips out of the cart again, he's just gonna catch a broomstick to the head.
You're fairly confident that he's not going to make any ground because he's very well tied up. But as you guys continue and press on to Phandalin, the rutted track emerges from a wooded hillside, and you catch your first glimpse of Phandalin. The town consists of 40 to 50 simple logged buildings, some built on old fieldstone foundations. There are more old ruins, crumbling stone walls covered with ivy and briars. And surrounding that are newer houses and shops. And it shows you sort of how much progress has been made within the town of Phandalin. This town is still, as Cornelius and Gundren had explained to you, a frontier town. As you guys approach, you guys would see children playing around the town green, but as night descends, they're starting to head into the houses. But something that does catch your eyes and you guys are just pulling up through the fields, is that there are people, humanoid-looking creatures, which are probably mostly humans, but you make out like an elf here and there, wearing red cloaks, and they've got their hoods up. And one of them like has a lantern, and there's about 3 of them hanging around them, and they're just kind of sitting upon the edge of the border between the town and the fields.
Well, that must be the red capes he was speaking about, though I'm not sure what their deal is.
City guard, perhaps?
Or city thugs.
Or berry pickers.
Maribel, you are very positive.
It's a tough job.
Strange one, that. Let's go ahead and get these supplies off first, and then we can go ahead and see about securing an inn for a room for the night.
Oh, leave that to me. I'm sure I can find us a place for cheap, no problem.
So, okay, so as we get closer, do those guys in the red capes, do they look like they are officials in any way, or do they just look like people with capes?
They look like they're wearing this like standardized uniform. Like they all got the same clothes on, the same red cloak, and one of them holds a lantern. They're definitely armed. You can see that they have short swords around their hips. One of them holds a lantern, kind of just at the edge of this this border, which consists of a half stone wall that separates the field from the town, and you guys are just pulling into the edge of it. And he gestures to you to stop with a hand up, while holding the lantern in the other hand.
Does he look? Bullock is going to go ahead and pull on the oxen to force him to stop. Does the red cloaked people look like military, or do they look like mercenaries?
Probably more so mercenary, but they do have like a standardized outfit. Like they're wearing leather armor underneath this red cloak. And they're all humans or humanoids, probably like a half elf and a couple of and others of humans. So there's 4 of them specifically.
Okay.
2 of them just leaned up against the wall. One of them addressing to you with a lantern, and the last one kind of just up against this this picket fence that kind of just follows the road into Phandelver.
All right. Bulg is going to go ahead and speak to the lantern-bearing person.
Yeah, he looks like the leader of it, and he's got sort of like this swept blonde hair underneath his hooded cloak.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to him?
Got supplies from Neverwinter for you. Found a goblin who seemed to have ambushed 2 people who we were expecting to show up here.
He shines the lantern around to see you guys. Notices the half elf. Notices, sorry, not the half elf, the half orc. Notices Kieran, the halfling, and Belle, the tiefling, and Alex, the human.
Token human,
Then-
hello.
Shifts back over to Belle and looks and glances at you.
I just give him a pleasant smile, looking kind of dazed.
He takes the lantern and takes a spotlight off of you for a moment and shines it back. Like he's kind of just poking and prodding with this lantern into your eyes a little bit too aggressively, Bulg. And he's kind of harassing you almost with this lantern, just shining it right like a cop would pull you over and just shine that really bright flashlight in your face.
Are you telling me that this dude is racially profiling me?
Yes.
Yes.
Would Kieran notice that like he's being awfully bothering towards Bulg?
It looks like he is harassing Bulg, but you can't make out that it's racially profiling yet, if at all.
Yeah, so
Go ahead, Kieran.
Kieran's probably gonna pop into the front seat next to Bulg if there's room. If not, he's probably just gonna hop on Bulg's shoulders. Whatever, there's room there. I'm a halfling. But yeah, he pops in and says, "Hello, we're just trying to get in, so we'll find an inn as soon as we can and be out of your hair. No trouble wanted here."
He says to you, "So, you bring supplies into town?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't I take it from here?"
And goes ahead and turns back to Alex. Weren't we supposed to hand deliver these?
I'm gonna say to Mirabel, who I assume is still in the back of the cart with me, watch the goblin for a moment, would you? And I'm gonna like hop out of the cart and walk up to the front, broom in hand. I'm just gonna say, and you gentlemen would be.
We're the Red Brands. We run this town.
Is that in an official capacity, or
Absolutely.
do I see any sort of insignias as official guards tend to wear?
Make an investigation check.
Oh man, this will be fun. Alright, investigation check, let's do it. It's not terrible.
Mirabelle, while you're watching the goblin, how do you do so?
Let's see.
Oh, I'm just gonna go over and sit like directly next to him
Okay.
and inch closer, very
play with-
slowly.
Play with his ear.
No, I'm not playing. I'm not playing with his ear. He's conscious. That would be awkward.
That's a 15
Okay.
investigation.
With the 15, you do not see any insignias, any badges, any patches, any form of rank bared upon this guy.
Okay, with that knowledge, do I get any sort of sense that he's bullshitting me?
You may make an, well, let's see.
Yeah,
Make an insight check.
Insight
Yeah,
check.
make an insight check as well.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
just
Wait. Yeah, I did that right.
Yeah, that's not gonna work well for me. 6.
Okay.
6, okay.
I
It's
got
okay.
a 16 on my
That's
insight.
okay. I'm proficient in this. I got an 18.
18? Okay. Kieran, what did you roll?
I got a 16.
16, okay. You can definitely sense that he's not telling the complete truth, but he's not like he's lying either.
Bit of column A, bit of column B.
Yeah. He's lying about something, but you're not sure what it is, but he's also telling the truth.
Okay, so I'm gonna say.
You think that you're asking the wrong questions.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I'm gonna say. Can I see any sort of official badge of your authority? I'm sure you understand. I can't just go handing off supplies to anyone.
He says to you, badge of authority. This right here is my badge. Right, boys? And he kind of just looks at like he unshields his cloak from his side, and you can see a sword hanging off his belt.
Kieran brightens up and shows that he has a rapier on his side. Ooh, I have one too.
I'm just gonna say, now that seems vaguely like a threat. I'd rather not there be an altercation if there's another way, but...
He says to you, look, ma'am, we're the law around here in this town. You give us the supplies. We're going to have to take you in.
The last time I checked, Bulk says, getting off the wagon as he stands in front of the red brand. How tall is this guy, by the way?
Do you want to get off your wagon to size him up?
Yes.
He is probably only 5'10", compared to your 6 foot 4 frame.
I have at least 6 inches. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and size up the red brand. The last time I checked, the Crown made sure that all civilized parts were under its royal protection. I may not be a soldier with them anymore, but I'm pretty sure they would be mighty peeved if they found out someone was masquerading as enforcement. I'm pretty sure that gets you 5 years in the gaol and at least 40 whippings.
Make an intimidation check at that moment, and Mirabelle, as you're in the back with the little goblin Plarg, you notice that he's shifting around, and he's not trying to escape or anything, but he's trying to see what's going on as he hears voices that are not familiar to it.
That would be an 18, sir.
Ooh,
18, okay. Do you do anything?
While
Belle?
he's shifting around,
He's just puffing out his chest, clearly looking imposing in his chainmail armor.
I want to lift up my goblin buddy, and I will hug, like, put him in sort of like a bear hug, and just sit him on my lap and look towards the action.
Okay. It's just like
And
a
make
little
it
kid on
worse.
your lap. All right. So as this is going on, you're puffing out your chest. You're doing that whole bravado, like I'm a military badass. I've served. I've seen stuff. he actually like at that moment he takes his hand off of the hilt and the sheath of the sword, and he kind of just lowers it, and he kind of just takes his cloak and he just moves it back over himself, and it's covering him now at this point. And he says to you, "Well, we wouldn't want any of that now, would we, boys?" And at that moment, Plar cries out in Goblin, Alex, to you that only understand, "Red caves!"
Our prisoner.
sitting on Mirabelle's lap.
I'm just gonna speak in common. Our prisoner doesn't seem to like you boys very much.
Quickly at that moment, they all seem startled by the sight of the goblin. The man holding the torch, not the torch, the lantern drops it and it hits the ground, and they hold ready on their weapons, their hilts, and they say, "What are you, some goblin lover?"
I'm just gonna say, whoa, gentlemen, he's a prisoner.
I also want to just remind the GM, I did declare that we had a goblin prisoner in our midst when they initially pulled us over.
Absolutely.
So I'm just gonna say, whoa, gentlemen, he's a prisoner. There was an ambush further up the road. Some people were kidnapped. We are keeping the goblin alive and well so that he may tell us where the kidnapped people were taken.
But we
He
couldn't
says-
save the horses.
He says to you, "Not only do you have an orc, stupid orc, a tiefling, now you have a goblin."
Okay, good.
Oh dear.
No, I'm not doing anything. Don't worry. That
For a
was
second there,
positive.
I thought you were just making a joke.
No, there was very much an ambush up the road. You can go see the leftovers for yourself. I was really hoping to avoid a confrontation, but if you boys really insist.
Goblins don't get past this part of town. Neither do orcs, and he looks at you.
Kieran's ears perk up at all of this, and he kind of hops off the wagon at his diminutive status is very obvious at this. And he looks up and says, "Oh, goodness, all of you are so big, but, well, the goblin, like we've said, is a prisoner of ours. Won't cause any sort of trouble. Got him tied up real good.
I'm just gonna look up at Bolg. Oh dear, it's going to go that way, isn't it?
Unfortunately.
This orc and this tiefling, well, I haven't known them very long, but they've proven themselves to be some of the most capable adventurers I've ever seen. And, well, them, plus my own rather extensive little background, well, we wouldn't want to cause any sort of trouble, would we?
Somehow I don't think they're going to let us avoid it.
How are we going to explain this to their mothers?
Gently and with understanding, Mirabelle.
That's not what I was expecting Mirabelle to say at all.
I
Kieran?
don't think there's anything that Mirabelle says that we could expect.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay! That is a 26, because I rolled a nat 20.
All right.
Woohoo!
This man has loyalties. He says, Glassstaff's orders are no goblins or orcs past this point. But I'll tell you what. 10 gold pieces for the orc and the goblin to pass.
That's rather steep.
Highwaymen.
How
of course.
about 6?
I'm just gonna look at Kieran. Don't pay the highwaymen.
That's fair. 6 gold pieces for the orc and 6 gold pieces for the goblin.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna look at
that was
Bolg. If they're extorting us, chances are they're extorting others along this route.
especially if they're doing it illegally.
I'm not thinking 6 for each of them. You see, that's a little bit too much there. 6 for both of them.
How many of them are there again?
4.
4 total.
One with a bow, the half elf posted against the picket fence that leads that runs along the road into Phandelver. 2 on either side of the half stone wall, flanking you essentially, and the one that's in front of you with the lantern that's smashed on the ground now. The oil kind of just billowing up around the earth underneath the oxen.
Tell you what, boys, I've got an even better proposal. What sort of entertainment do you have around this town?
He says. He looks back actually at his companions and he says, "When was the last time we had entertainment around?" Right. He gestures. One of the guys back behind him gestures something very vulgar and crude, and it's sort of a gesture for prostitution. You would know, Kieran.
Kieran bites his lip and keeps smiling. Well, I bet you never had a world-renowned bard in your town.
I'm just gonna kind of not saying anything. I just kind of look at Bolg like I give him this look like I think shit's about to go down.
Volg returns the gesture and has been loosening up his joints since Kieran started talking.
Kieran, you're a bit too high class for these guys, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, but, well, it's for friends. Would you do anything for your friends? Don't answer that.
Coming from a tiefling, that don't mean much. Now you gonna pay?
I think. How do I want to put this? I think the law would be very interested in highwaymen robbing people along the roads, wouldn't you?
Law's different out here. We're the law. Now you pay or you get out. Or worse.
So how do you claim that authority? I'm assuming by force.
He chuckles for a moment, and he nods to the half elven ranger near the rear, and he draws an arrow, knocks it into his bow. I'm going to give you the count of 3. 6 gold pieces, both of you.
I'm gonna look
at that point when he says, "I'm going to give you the count of 3," Bull goes ahead and punches him in the face.
Roll initiative.
It's go time, guys.
Punch him
Ding,
right in the
ding.
face. But did you punch him with 3 fingers? 3.
I got a 12.
12 for initiative? Okay.
Oh shit!
Yes.
What is my initiative? Hold on, I gotta find
Yeah,
out. Okay. Here we
We
go.
need to put up the initiative tracker.
Oh yeah.
Now we getting into it.
Do
Yeah.
what you do best.
All right.
I don't know, guys. Level 1 TPK, and you could just pay 6 gold pieces.
I mean, I could, but at the same time,
These are clearly highwaymen, and we
Apparently we're
as
risking.
good characters have to do our due diligence.
right.
We have principles.
Yes.
Okay, so let's
Principles
see.
get
Let me
people
add
killed.
this. My initiative is a 3, so
Oh dear.
I mean my modifier is a 3, so that's.
Oh,
No,
okay.
don't worry. I'm going next week.
Don't
Took
worry.
care of that.
Don't worry. I'm probably going first. My dice have some serious bipolar going on right now. It's just like single digit, 19, single digit, 19.
Okay. I will have their initiative somewhere in the list.
Somewhere on the list.
Somewhere in the list. But with all things considered, Alex, you are going first.
So
And you can see Bold
So
just
my
going.
punch-
He's going. These guys are ready for you. They're not taken by surprise. Like
Okay.
yeah.
they had a feeling that
Okay.
this was coming. So you don't, unfortunately, you don't get a surprise round or anything. But Alex, you can see Bold. He's readying his fist. He's he's readying his body. He's like he's twisting it back and he's winding up and he's going to strike these guys in the face.
All right. So as I'm standing there, as I've been standing here this whole time talking to him, I've been kind of standing there with like both hands around the handle of this broom, just standing there. And once I see Bulg is going for it, just immediately the broom gets flipped around backwards, sort of like held like this, and just the end of it is taken right into his jaw.
All right.
So
Make an attack roll against the blonde red brand in front of you.
Scroll
Is
down
that
to
the one that I was
let's
talking
see.
to? Just wondering.
Yeah, he's the only one that's making
Okay.
real vocal gestures. The other ones, like one of them made like that lewd gesture, and the other one knocked the one in the back, the half elven one knocked its bow.
All right, that's going to be a 17 to hit with the broom.
All right, absolutely hits. Goes past him and strikes him. Caught him off guard.
All
You're
right.
actually really quick on this.
Let's see. That's going to be 6 points of bludgeoning damage, and then I'm going to punch him as a bonus action. So I kind of whip around, catch him in the jaw with the broom, and then let go of the broom with one hand, and I'm just going to like palm strike him right in the gut on the back
All right.
on the come around. So we're going to try this again. Unarmed strike. I hope that hits. I don't think so. 16.
16 as well. That will absolutely hit.
Oh, good. I was worried because you said it was really close. I was like, oh shit. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I got the whole 4, so that's gonna be 4, 5, 6, 7 points of punch.
All right,
Bludgeoning
7
damage.
points of. Okay, so you did 6 points, and as the broom hits him, it hits him in the face. He goes 360. He spins 360, and he's loopy from the first one. The second one comes into. Where are you hitting him with the palm?
You said he spun around.
Yeah, he
Right.
spun 360 with the first.
Oh, he
hit, with
spun
the broom.
360. So that hits him with the broom. He spins around, and she's gonna let go of the broom with one hand and just palm strike straight into his abdomen.
The wind is absolutely knocked out of him. Like you can just see, like, and he actually spits out a little bit of blood onto you because you're like right onto your blouse. As this happens, he is not dead, but he's winded. He want to move or anything?
No.
Bulg, you're up.
No, Kieran is next. He got a 16.
Oh, okay, it's not ordered. That's sorry about that. Kieran, you're up.
I was gonna be like, wow, thanks.
Mhm.
You're
all
short, so
right,
your
I'm gonna go
initiative is
ahead
half.
The archer, how far away is he?
You are still on the wagon, yes?
No, I jumped out of the wagon.
Okay,
I
so
was
but
in
you're
front of the
you're still around the wagon.
Yeah.
He's about 30 feet away from you.
30. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a
You're
sleep
talking-
out.
Okay.
Which one out?
Sleep spell.
Sleep.
Sleep
boy.
spell. Okay, what level? Oh, you only have one level. Not bad.
Level
I'm
one,
sorry.
baby,
I'm
come
used to
on.
running at higher level games. This is very foreign. It's been a while.
So 30 feet. Okay.
So you roll your d8
Yep.
until and if it essentially if it matches his hit points currently, he'll go to sleep. But if you roll under it, he's not going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5d8. So
Yep.
let me
So go
pull
ahead
out a
and roll those
calculator
out.
because math is hard. 4 plus 1.
Bulg, you're up right after, so prepare yourself.
I am on
good money.
standby.
The one in front of you is winded. There's 2 that flank your wagon on either side with behind this this half stone wall.
I rolled 27 in total.
27 total. He has the arrow knocked. He actually, as he's sleeping, he's pulling it back. He just goes, "Oof," and he
All right.
collapses onto the ground. The arrow just hits the earth in front of him, and he is just knocked out to sleep.
As soon as Kieran sees that Bulk has, punched the guy in the face, he kind of looks at the archer and just whispers as his voice sings through the wind. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. And as his voice carries through the wind, the archer is knocked unconscious.
Yep, absolutely. Just collapse. Oh, I just remembered.
I was wondering if you were gonna
He
catch this.
fakes his sleep and gets up right away with a grin on his face. As he is a half elf, he is unaffected by sleep.
Oh, sad face.
I was wondering if you were
job.
gonna catch that. I wasn't gonna say anything.
You made the exact same mistake Veritas made. Congratulations.
So-
wasted spell slot.
He fakes his sleep. He picks up his bow and he restrings it, ready to target you, Kieran.
How far away is How far away is Bolg and Alex from me?
They are pretty much like 10 feet, 5 feet, respectively, of you.
I would like to use my movement to run behind Bolg.
Absolutely. You may run behind him, giving you like half cover, essentially. Bulk, you're up.
All right. I go ahead and drop my war maul and just heft it in my hands appreciatively as I wind up for my swing.
Okay. Are you targeting the one that is
Yes,
winded?
I'm targeting the one that's winded.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, that is going to be very nice. That is a 18 to hit.
18. Yep, absolutely destroys him.
All right. I'm pretty sure with minimum damage, I'm going to finish him.
Probably. Your modifier might just kill him.
Okay, so in total, after re-rolling because of my two-handed weapon style, I have a total of 12 points of bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, that overkills him. What does it look like?
So
Overkill.
you see Bull go ahead and just hold onto his hammer as the Happy Gilmore swings this guy, who is reeling from the initial blow, up into the air as he goes ahead and flies in an arc of blood and bone as he falls back, as he lands to the ground with a sickening thud.
Yeah, he's winded. He just recovers his breath for a second, and like he sees the maul coming to face. He screams for "up!" and just like flies off into the air and just hits the ground like with a pile of gore. All right. Do you want to move or anything else?
I'm going to go ahead and turn my attention to the archer, but I'm not going to move so that way Kieran is still under half cover.
Okay. Mirabelle, you're up. Two flank you on either side of the wagon behind the stone wall, and the one down the road 30 feet away from the wagon itself, knocking a bow, trying to get a bead onto Kieran.
The ones that are beside the wagon, are they in my zone of control?
No, they're not right up against you. They'll have to charge up to you, but they haven't drawn swords yet because you guys are so quick.
Okay. Well, since Bolg seems to have that under control, I'm going to... I will actually, still sort of sitting in the wagon with the goblin on my lap, I'm going to very carefully just pluck a small string out of the weave, and as it snaps back into place, a small zone of like force disruption explodes behind one of the guys' heads that's next to the wagon as I cast Eldritch Blast. And maybe...
Right.
Oh, that's terrible. Does a 13 hit?
A 13, unfortunately, does not hit.
That AC.
Yep.
It explodes right beside his head, just out of range. You got a goblin in your lap, and is this your first time taking care of children? Because it's like taking care of children. It's screaming. It's screaming out in goblin. Red cape. Just over and over again. Just this on loop goblin cry.
Like it's like the scene from the Stephen King movie, Red Rum, but it's Red Cape.
I'm going to use what movement I have to take the goblin with me and just sort of move up to the driver's seat because I'm probably not able to move all that much further.
Okay, you
the
hop over.
The goblin will hear in his head just shh, shh.
Screaming intensifies.
Internal screaming.
All right, you use your ability to whisper into its head, and you whisper, shh. Okay. I want you to make a persuasion check. While you do so, it is their turn.
Good.
Kieran, you're going to be targeted by the archer. With his short bow, it's going to try to find a shot at you, and it misses, actually.
Does it hit me?
No, it actually does not. What you see this thing coming, you are ready. You said that you were prepared, and you actually deflect the arrow with your maul.
Nice.
You hear a very tiny voice behind you. Thank you.
Oh, actually, it's going to be another attack. Actually, he's going to knock with his elven speed. He's going to knock another bow. This time, it's going to be Kieran. What's your AC?
That is my AC. That is a very good question. I think it's like 14. Yeah, it's 14.
14. Okay, it's
How
going
much does the cover give me?
It gives you +2.
Okay.
But it's still going to hit you with an 18 to hit.
Ooh, ouch.
Oh,
That's going to deal to you 5 points of piercing damage as it actually pierces your foot, the only thing that's jutting out behind this massive stature of an orc.
Shoots between his legs.
Just shoots right between his legs. The two on either side, one is going to lunge towards you, Bolg, and the other one to you, Alex, and they're both going to make and draw their short swords at the same time simultaneously and try to attack both of you. One of them is going to be a 23 to hit, and the other one's going to be... the 23 is on Bolg's.
Yeah,
I should call that out.
That hits.
And the other one is going to be a mere 10, which I'm sure does not hit.
Does not hit.
Okay, so Bolg, you're going to take only 3 points of piercing damage as he drives the short sword, but you parry most of it. It just catches you off guard. You lose. You have to use your energy to do so. But you parry most of it. At that point, the one with the arrow is going to fall back another maybe another 20 feet, 25 feet. So he's falling back into Phandelver. He's going down the road. The other two are just gonna stay around you guys, flanking on either side. Top of the round, Alex, you're up.
All right, so he lunges at me with the short sword, and I just kind of like bop it aside with the end of the broom, and I'm just gonna say, "You and your friends should yield. You're clearly outmatched."
You do see underneath the cloak sweat bead around their temples. Their leader is no more, savagely beaten. And without a leader, they seem to be wavering.
All right. It's still Alex's turn, but I'll do something when it comes back to me.
I want to gauge a response from him, if he's still going to be hostile or if he's going to heed my warning and just get out of here.
He wants to, but he's not sure if the orc will stop. You might be soft of words, but the half orc does not seem so much.
May I say something if it will matter in this?
You can you can talk in between rounds. That's absolutely fine.
All right. Bolg will go ahead and take the advantage of surrender expediently, or I will fornicate with your skulls.
Jesus Christ!
Make an interrogation check with advantage.
And suddenly this stream goes up in rating.
That escalated quickly.
That
Karen
escalated
uses
very
a minor
quickly.
action to feel the fear of God.
that will be a 19 with advantage.
A 19 with advantage. Okay. At that moment, you see that they are trembling. They want to leave, but they're not sure if leaving will make it worse or make it better.
We're not going to attack you if you flee. I suggest you just leave.
They will drop their swords and just run.
That's good, boys. Just, I really hope I don't see either of them again.
Wise decision indeed.
Bolg, if the heat of battle is no longer, like in the immediate forethought of your mind, you will feel a small pressure against your butt as Kieran is like hugging your leg, quaking in fear, with an arrow sticking in his foot and his face accidentally shoved into one of your butt cheeks. And he just kind of muffles out, "Are they gone?"
I want to look around now. Is there anybody else around?
There is still the one
The
half-elven archer. He has not ran off yet. He's still knocked, and he's a little bit further from the intimidation of this orc screaming in someone's ears. However, well, actually, no, there's not really and however to it. He's out of range. He's not too close. He feels like he can take you guys down before you run up to him. That's what he sees.
So how far away is he from me then?
At this point, he's 55 feet or so.
55 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. That only works if I make an attack.
This is where a sling would have come really handy.
Yeah, but I don't have a sling. Is there anything laying around?
Absolutely. There are small pebbles and rocks everywhere.
Let's see. You said 55, so I could technically throw with disadvantage and maybe hit him.
Or you can run up to him.
Or I could run up. Yeah, I could run closer. So I want to pick up some piece of something, a rock or something off the road, and I'm just gonna see if I can. I'm gonna go closer and see if I can beam him.
What is your running speed?
My running speed should be 30 at this point. I don't get any bonus run yet.
Okay. So not yet. He's still 25 feet away at the end of it, so you have disadvantage on this.
All right, we're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna try. What's it gonna be? Actually, that's not that bad. Let's see. I get a +5 to this because my feet. So that's gonna be a 17 with disadvantage.
Absolutely, that'll strike him.
right,
Where does this land on him?
Oh, right in the face. And as I beam him in the face with it, I'm gonna say, "You should have taken my advice and just ran."
Okay, that cracks him right in the face. How much damage?
Oh, right. It's going to be a d4 damage, so I rolled a 1, really. Okay, so 4 points of damage.
4 points of damage cracks the bridge of his nose, and blood just draws down his pale face, and he is not pleased by that as he pinches his nose. With that, we go to Kieran.
So he's still at 55 feet, so I'm gonna throw a vicious mockery at him as Kieran yells out, having heard that interchange. If he had anything in his brain, not only would he have run away, but maybe I actually would have been able to put him to sleep.
With your vicious mockery, the words lace subtlety and discontent to him, and he actually fails to save with an 8.
Yes.
Cool.
Yay.
So 1d4 psychic damage and disadvantage on the next attack roll.
Absolutely.
As his mind clouds. Oh god, I dropped my d4. As his mind clouds with confusion and rage.
I am confusion.
3 points of damage.
3 points of damage. He is not looking very well off, but he's still trying to fight you guys very much. Bolg, you stand 55 feet away from this ranger, this red brand ranger. His friend's gone off into the distance, disappearing into the torchlight of the town. What do you do?
Bolg is going to go ahead and take the dodge action just so that way he can protect himself or Kieran in case attacks happen again.
Absolutely. You ready yourself. Use your multi-parry. Mirabelle, you actually calm that goblin in your lap when you shushed him, and he's kind of just calming down. He sees like the red brand running off, the red capes, and he kind of just silences himself, and he's like, "Whoa!" kind of look on his face. These guys, they must be something else. What do you do?
I just sort of look down and smile at him quite warmly. And then I'm going to grab another small thread of the weave, and I would like to cast Hex on the archer guy.
Okay,
boy.
that is... What is save is that?
I don't think it's a
No,
save.
it's not a save, but she has to choose a stat.
Oh, right. Okay, thank you for
right.
reminding me.
Let's see. I will choose dexterity.
And remember, it's ability checks, not saving throws.
Yes, but he's like archer type, so he's probably quick to get away with acrobatics and such.
You pluck the weave around you, and
I would like to just wrap it pleasantly around my finger.
you... Okay, yes, like
And-
a small ribbon.
And since that is my bonus action, with my action, I would like to grab another string of the weave and try another Eldritch Blast at him.
Okay, absolutely.
And hopefully a little bit better. Is that a 16 to hit?
That will hit.
And that's going to do... Oh, here it comes.
Oh, no.
Just double checking modifiers here. Okay, so that's going to be 8 points of force damage and then 5 points of necrotic damage as that hex just pulls at him.
What happens when he dies from this explosive bolt?
So, for everyone else looking around, there's just an orb of distortion around this guy's head, and just like a bubble would in some soapy laundry, it just goes pop.
Jesus.
Kieran cringes from behind Bulge. Oh, it was like a pimple.
I'm just gonna say to the group as this kind of comes to an end here, you didn't have to be quite so brutal.
We still have one guy who's bleeding out here, Alex. You better tend to him.
Oh, the other guy didn't run? The guy on the other side of the cart?
No, the one that I hammered.
Hmm.
You didn't specify non-lethal.
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead. Oh, he's complete. Okay.
You
Oh,
crushed
no,
his
he's-
head with the maul. Or-
You kind of just uppercutted him with the maul, and his head kind of blew up.
Oh, his head blew up. I
Don't
thought
know
it was
your-
just like
Rip.
okay. Okay, you
Don't know
he's
your own
done.
strength.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
Press F to pay
Oh.
respects.
Mistakes.
So essentially, you guys find yourselves out of initiative. The two red brand that ran off into the town, they kind of just disappear around separate corners of buildings, and you can see them weaving off and then disappear into the various buildings and houses. But this is a good place to take our break.
All right.
All right, so folks in the audience, we will be taking a 5-minute break. We will be back in just a moment. See you then.
Absolutely. Thank you. have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 viewers.
How do I
And
do
according to
this?
Twitch, it's 9, but we are live again,
Oh,
ladies
one,
and
one,
gentlemen.
one of them is me, actually, so that's not entirely true.
Good job.
All
Hey,
right.
I gotta watch my chat because these are people who I invited.
All right. I mean, that's cool. So
I
we
was
are
going to
live
say
again.
you watching
back.
yourself.
Hopefully everybody had a
That
good
too.
break.
That too.
I will have to step away when the doorbell rings, but I will keep it minimal. I was hoping to time that so it would happen during break, but I failed. All right. So, DM.
You guys find yourselves with 2 red brand in front of you on the road to Phandelver. The sun has essentially gone down at this point. The oil from the broken, shattered lamp is just smoldering and burning away in a small puddle underneath the oxen. And you guys see a Phandelver that is kind of coming to its nighttime activities. The shops are closing. The lights are turning down. People are getting ready for bed and whatnot. What do you guys do?
Step 1, I would like to cast Prestidigitation and put out the fire so the oxen don't get scared.
These are very tough Neverwinter oxen. They have seen things, man.
Just in case.
Like-
Bold wants to go ahead and put the body of the decapitated red guard to the side and make like a small burial mound for him.
Yeah, you absolutely decapitated him with a maul. Like, that is just orc ways.
Hardcore, man, hardcore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Kieran is going to hobble his way over to the cart. Arrow's still stuck in his foot.
We'll get that checked out once we get to town.
Kieran reaches the cart and kind of looks over at Bulge and lifts his arms up and says, "Carry me, please." And points up at the cart.
Very well, and he goes ahead and lifts up the small halfling and puts him into the seat.
Thank you.
So you've paid respects to those that have fallen
Yes.
under your blades.
Yes.
The 2 you've let run away. They're probably somewhere in town or they're regrouping with the others. But you've definitely stricken fear into their organization, if nothing else. You had not needed to pay that toll that they demanded of you, and you have the supplies and provisions with minimal damage to yourselves. The road to Phandelver is now open to you. How do you wish to proceed?
Yes, well, let's quickly deliver these. The sun's going down. The shops are all going to close. Hopefully we can get this delivered today and not have to try to protect it through the night.
Do we know what shop we're supposed to take this to?
You were assigned to take the provisions to Barthen's Provisions, a local trading post owner of Phandelver. And when you kind of just start to roll into town, some of you probably trying to fix Kieran's foot at the moment. You guys come across to immediately the first building you come across in the town is marked Barthen's Provision. There's a sign that clearly says everything. And you notice that through the windows that you're looking through, you notice that there is a man, quite a large man, a rotund, bald man with sort of like a goatee beard going on. And he seems to be wearing a typical apron, a brown apron, and he seems to be just putting a few things away before closing up the shop. He looks like he's ready to leave and go home.
As we're sort of rolling into town, I would like to try and pull my cloak over the goblin so we're not just like marching straight into town with a band of weirdos.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's impossible.
The balding guy that we're riding past, Kieran calls over from the cart. "Hello! You wouldn't happen to be Barthen, would you?"
The windows are closed.
Oh,
He can't hear us. He can't hear us, Kieran.
Kieran waves.
Unless you make yourself very, very loud. But I assume you're just talking in a friendly manner. So you see that it's the shop's closed, and the windows are closed at the moment. But you think that you can just knock to gain his attention.
Volk goes ahead and stops the cart and goes ahead and gets off to go ahead and knock on the door to Barthen's Provisions.
while this is going on, I'm gonna ask Mirabel, do you think you could do something about this, referring to the now like blood smear on her dress? Not exactly presentable.
I've got the perfect thing. And I would like to cast Prestidigitation again, but instead of cleaning the blood off, I would like to just sort of rearrange it into the shape of a flower.
Okay. That's not exactly what I had in mind.
Kieran looks over. Oh, that's so pretty. Do me next. Do me next.
I cast it again, and the blood flower moves on to Kieran.
The flowers around the arrow still through his foot. He looks down. Oh, right. I should probably get this checked out.
Anyways, Barthens.
What about Barthens?
He has an orc knocking at his door.
Oh, sorry. The flower distracted me. Okay, as you knock on the door to provisions, Bulg, do you say anything, or do you just thump, thump, thump? Daniel?
I'm sorry? I zoomed out for a second. Pardon?
As you knock on the door to Barthen's provisions, do you say anything, or do you just loudly bang the door?
No, I just knocked the door. I don't know if he's inside or not already.
You definitely know he's inside because you saw him through the window,
Okay.
and it was closing down the store because it's time. It looks like it's time for him to get out, go home, and do his stuff.
Okay.
But
Go ahead.
As you knock the door, he loudly cries out from within, and you can hear it through the door. Oi! Who is that?
Got your supplies for you.
He says, "Is it you red brands again?"
No, the red brand is currently laying in the ditch without a head.
He opens this door slightly, and he looks out, and you see this large man, almost nearly the size of Bolg himself, and he kind of just peers through the door, and he says, "Hey, oh, I've been expecting you."
We
Yes.
would hope so.
Yes, we might be a bit late. We've had quite a bit of trouble getting here. The roads are treacherous.
And he quickly, as he sees that you guys are not donning red cloaks or whatever, beside the blood on Kieran's a little bit concerning with the arrow in his foot. he welcomes you guys in a very friendly manner and, "Please come in. Pointing to Kieran, he says, "Is that normal?"
Kieran looks down. Probably not, but don't worry. It only hurts an extraordinary amount.
It's only a flesh wound, Kieran. Suffering is good for the soul.
I think it hit through the bone.
Bolg is just going to shake his head as he goes ahead and starts getting the supplies from the back to go ahead and put into Barthen's shop.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, please bring it here, right behind the counter."
Mm-hmm.
And as you guys come into this trading post, you notice that this trading post is just packed chock full of all sorts of adventuring gear and supplies. And that's amazing, Daniel. You see
We all
that,
have our own different entertainment, I think.
You see that the shop is filled with backpacks, bedrolls, ropes, and other accoutrements fit for any great adventurer. However, there are not a single weapon here. You see tools, pickaxes, axes, hammers, and stuff, but you do not see a single weapon here.
I'm gonna ask him. So, has anyone else come into town today? There's been a lot of trouble on the roads.
He looks to you and he says, I thought I was expecting Cornelius and Gundry."
Yes, unfortunately, they seem to have been kidnapped along the road. We found their horses.
"Oh my, that is awful news indeed."
Yes, we...
Goblin attack.
Yeah, goblin attack. We captured one of the ambushers and brought him with us. With any luck, we'll get him to tell us the location where they would have taken them.
Mirabelle, what of your goblin?
I'm still sitting in the front of the wagon holding him.
And you are just watching big, strong Bulg just move wagons.
It's
Yeah,
The
Crush.
wagon supplies.
No one
Yep.
else in this group has any strength. All those dump strengths on the interface here. That's gonna bite us in the ass, I just know it.
Well, he says to you, I appreciate you bringing the supplies. It can't be easy.
Oh.
All in a day's work.
Was there any...
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about a large deployment of kobolds marching around? We saw them on the road on the way here.
Not
Goblins.
kobolds. Not kobolds,
Or-
Alex.
No, wait, what?
Hobgoblins.
Oh,
Goblins.
I'm sorry. Why did I say kobolds? Hobgoblins.
Because they're red.
Because they're red.
Yeah, speciesist.
He cries out, by time, Mora. I thought it was worse enough with all the orcs, the goblins, and the hobgoblins wandering about. And the red brand.
Yes,
Well-
we had an unfortunate meeting with the Red Brand.
Unfortunate for them.
Yeah, I take it we were correct in that they're basically aimless thugs.
Well, it's about time someone did something about them.
Yes, well, they attempted to extort us for a rather large sum of gold, so I figured they if they were trying to extort complete strangers, they probably try to extort the townsfolk as well. So I don't think we'll see them around for a bit.
Right, speaking of gold, I believe I owe you some. 10 gold pieces each was promised to you. And he'll hand out from underneath his counter, he'll take out from his safe and he'll hand you a large piece or a large pouch containing 40 pieces of gold. 10 pieces for each of you. So who wants to accept this?
I'll accept it,
Okay.
and then once we leave the shop, I'll divide this properly.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Bolg is going to turn to Barthen and ask him, "Do you know which of the inns would have a room for us for the night?"
Well, there's 2 inns in here. The Sleeping Giant Inn and the Stonehill Inn. I mind you not to go to the Sleeping Giant. That's where all the Red Brand hang out.
Yes, we wouldn't want Bolg here to splatter another Red Brand all over the street.
He perks up to that and says, "If you ask me, that's good riddance to them. It's about time someone showed these ruffians who's in charge around here."
Perhaps after a nice warm meal and bed rest, we can see to a game of whack-a-mole.
Yes, well, I'd like to find our missing friends before we go picking another fight. But should they stand in the way of that, well, they may expect more of what you've already given.
Indeed. I think that is all. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we call it a night?
What are we gonna do with the goblin? Are we just gonna smuggle him in?
Sneak him in the
I
back.
was just gonna smuggle him in.
Mirabelle's got this under control.
It works for me.
Either that or have Bolg smuggle him in while I cause a huge distraction just for existing.
Guys, Kieran is like the drama boat. He is a walking distraction.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I already have an arrow in my foot, and I feel like that's pretty distracting as it is.
Also not wrong. Anyway, I think that covers it then.
When they come back, Kieran will actually look to Alex and say, "Hey, Alex, you seemed pretty good with all that knowledge about bodies and how to pull things out of them. Do you think you could get this thing out of me?" As he lifts up his little foot and gives it a shake.
The arrow is pretty long. It's a human-sized arrow. This is probably close to Kieran's size.
The pain bothers him less than the fact that the feather end of the arrow was tickling his nose.
Oh,
that would be a problem for a halfling.
I'll look at the arrow, I guess, and try to figure out if it can be safely removed.
Make a medicine check.
Oh boy.
And you can just use this medicine check to remove the arrow essentially.
Okay, this might not be very good.
Yikes.
That's a 12.
Now I'm gonna leave that to you, man.
Okay, so how far did the actual arrowhead go through his foot?
Probably an entire foot.
Like all
So
the way throughout the other.
went
So it's like
through and through?
So it's like stuck in the ground.
Well, before he pulled it out and he's walking with it
It's
in his
walkable.
foot.
It's walkable.
Well, he said he didn't pull the arrow out, so it means that we have to pull the arrow out. So I'm
Yeah.
just
Yes.
so the most logical thing I think to do here, if it's all the way through his foot, just break the arrow
Break
off,
it.
like break it in like as close to the skin as possible, and then just pull it through the bottom, which will be incredibly painful. But
Kieran's still smiling as he's just watching you.
all right, so
It hasn't hit him yet. How painful it is.
So I'm gonna break. I'm gonna break the arrow, and then I'm just gonna like grab the end of it under his foot, and I'm gonna say, "This is going to be incredibly painful. I'm not going to lie." And then before he even gets a chance to respond, I'm just gonna pull.
I would like to shield the goblin from witnessing this.
As Alex says that, Kieran's still smiling, tilts his head to the side and says, "Wait, what are you? Oh, sweet Aunt Josephine!" As the arrow gets yanked out of his foot, and he spends the next, I'd say, solidly like 5 minutes crying like a baby as he just sits there.
And I'll like wrap his foot with something so he doesn't bleed everywhere.
Alex, don't we still have one of those health tonics?
But don't actually use that on me because I'm just going to use hit die for that. But who is the nearest person to me that isn't Alex?
Probably Bolg.
How
Holding
close
you
are to
down.
me?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, probably
How
both.
close are you to me?
Like 5 feet?
Better word. Are you within hand-holding distance?
Yes.
Okay, Kieran will grab your hand and just as he's like crying, just holding your hand.
Oh, you're fine,
this-
Kieran. You're fine.
The star braced me for new possibilities that I am not forever tormented in this manner.
It hurt. Oh.
Oh, Kieran, you'll be fine. Just try not to put any weight on it.
And try not to put any more arrows in it.
He looks at Bolg. Will you carry me?
He sighs and just nods.
Alright, so let's go to this inn and try not to get into any more trouble.
So,
Yes.
you guys have given over the oxen and the wagon to Barthen. So now you guys are traveling by foot, but some of you are being carried.
And I'm gonna
And-
split up the gold as we move along here.
Absolutely. The pouch contains only gold pieces, so it's very easy to divvy that up. Just
Yeah.
10 gold pieces to each, and you split doing so.
Alright.
So everyone can add 10 gold pieces to their inventory
I'm
at
gonna
this
put
point.
I'm gonna put some of it in my personal inventory, and then she's gonna put some of it in the alms box.
Awesome.
Bolg is only going to take 9 gold pieces and leaves the 10th piece to Alex and tells her to put in the alms box for her.
Oh,
For
sweet.
him.
Okay, another gold piece in the alms box.
What's an alms box?
It's like okay, so it's a locked wooden box that Alex carries around. That the point of it is, it's like an offering to the it's like an
Offerings?
offering to the poor,
Yes.
basically. Like,
Oh, okay.
so if we came across like a beggar or something, we'd give them money from the alms box.
In which case, Kieran is going to go ahead and give 6 out of the 10 golds
Oh,
to her
Jesus.
for the alms box. Kieran's a simple person; he doesn't need a lot of gold, and he's going to put the rest of it inside of his bag. And to anyone looking, he kind of just throws it into a bag that's just like full of pennies.
Well, one thing's for sure: achievement unlocked, philanthropist.
Yes.
Okay, so as you guys walk down through the town, you arrive in sort of like center of town, more or less, from what you can gauge. Everything sort of just intersects here at this building. This building is the Stone Hill Inn, and there's a clear sign that marks it, that hangs above its door. And in this, it's a large, newly built roadhouse, fieldstone and rough-hewn timbers. The common room, as you guys enter, is filled with nursing mugs of ale or cider, and all of them, the locals that are within, start to eye you.
Kieran, who hopefully is being carried by Bolg,
Yes.
Do I see the innkeeper anywhere?
The innkeeper is working away behind the counter.
All right, I need
Yes.
to retrieve my pizza from the front door. Nobody get us killed in the next 2 minutes.
Don't
I'm
worry,
on
I
it.
got this.
Okay.
Kieran is going to talk to Bolg and say, "Let me talk to the innkeeper. I'm sure I can arrange us something for the night, free of charge," as he winks at Bolg.
Bull goes ahead and nods and lets the halfling go do his thing, but while going ahead and checking on Bell.
I'm kind of straggling behind you guys. I'm not like actually in the inn yet because I have stopped to inspect things and stare off into like the stars and things.
Hmm.
I am
You,
easily distracted.
When you stare off into the stars, you see that it's actually a really beautiful autumn night. That's clear moon, sky, and you can see all the specks of light in the distance, just glistening. And you have like an orchard to the north side, and through the fields you came through, it's just a clear-cut view. You can see so much sky, not like you would be able to see in the Neverwinter College, unless you were at really high up in the tower. So this is a different perspective of things from the city life.
I'll just stop and admire the stars for a bit and make sure my goblin buddy isn't gonna panic.
Which part of your cloak are you hiding him under? Like the front, the back? How do you do this?
Originally, I was like wrapping the front around him, but I think as we're walking, I might like sort of push him off to kind of like the side of my leg and just sort of sweep him under.
All right.
All right, I'm back. So we're in initiative, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a Tarrasque is summoned from the well, and it's just like breaking down the entire city.
Oh,
Or
excellent. All right,
I rolled for you. It got a crit fail.
What is the stealth or?
Oh,
Initiative.
So what?
Okay.
Okay, so what's actually going on? I apologize.
That's okay. Kieran's talking to the innkeeper. Belle is distracted by how beautiful it is outside.
And
Hiding
Bolg
in
is just
back there.
making sure neither of them get into trouble.
Yes, my taxi is making sure we're not getting into trouble.
That's good. That's good.
it is good. I need a
So-
babysitter.
So how's this conversation going? Do you need assistance?
I haven't talked to the innkeeper yet, but if no one else has anything to do, I'd like to start.
Absolutely. You walk up to the innkeeper, and this man is looks like he's in his late 40s, and he's losing his hair. His hairline is receding. It's going gray. And he looks like he's had better times.
Oh, that's a weirdly accurate description of my dad. Okay, so
It's like it was going for your dad or something.
I hate that you know that too. Kieran is going to wave towards the innkeeper. Hello there.
He takes his rag as he's cleaning one of the tankards, and he just drops it onto the counter, and he kind of just leans over, kind of looking down, trying to see what's speaking, because he was caught off guard.
I'm being carried by Bolg, so I'm at
Oh, I thought
probably
I thought,
above eye level.
I thought
honestly.
Bold put you down.
yeah,
Did
that's
he?
what I heard.
Did
Yeah.
you? Okay, I would like to be put down on the bar. I'm sitting there and at eye level now.
Okay. He says to you, well, you said you're striking up the conversation first. What do you say?
So he kind of just waves hello to get his attention, assuming that he comes towards me.
Oh, absolutely. He notices you, and as you place onto the bar.
Kieran says, "So I'm going to need room and meals for me and my friends. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say 4 of us. And well, times are tough and we're a little bit tight on money, but I do have something else that I can offer you."
Oh, good grief.
And I'm hoping
good
to
bother.
provide popular demand feature of the entertainer class. As Kieran pulls out his ukulele and he says, "You see, I'm a performer. I travel across the land and I do songs. I learn other people's stories and turn them into songs to make sure that everybody's stories are heard. And well, looking at your crowd, I think a lot of people would benefit from a nice little song. I'm happy to perform for everybody for a room and maybe a place to rest my foot," as he holds up his bandaged foot.
It's like, and then blood gets all over the counter.
Ew.
Ew. Kieran looks at the small blood splatter. I will clean that up.
He says to you, what's your name, little fellow?
Kieran Applebottom, at your service.
He says, well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Kieran. Aside from this, and he looks at the bloodstain.
Kieran again looks at it and says, I will clean that up. I am very sorry about that, but we were clearing up those pesky red cape. Doesn't matter. I'm a little bit red. They're a lot more red than they used to be, but they won't be bothering you for a while.
I thought you were going to say they're a little bit dead.
Red Dead. No, Redemption.
He says to you, you know, time's been tough around here. I'm not sure I could spare rooms for, what you say, 5 of you?
4 more accurately, but, well, if you don't have a room, perhaps any place that would house us for the night.
Make a persuasion check.
Karen being a cheap ass. I could just pay for it, it's fine.
No, but then that defeats the purpose of my feature. Persuasion. Math is hard. 24.
24. Okay, he says, he exhales, the blasted red brand. They really take a toll on the townsfolk around here. I tell you what, if you can liven up the mood a little bit, perhaps I could at least get you 1 room. It's the best I could do.
Kieran smiles and says, of course, that's more than enough. And I can see why the mood here might be a little bit somber. I could definitely see what I can do to liven the place up.
I'll just come up to the bar where Kieran is. Don't worry, Kieran. I'll pay for the rest of it. It's not a huge concern.
He says, my name's Tobin, by the way. This is my inn. And did you say that you took care of Red Brand or something?
Yes, we... There were some highwaymen on the way into town, and, they met the unfortunate end of our orcish friend here's weapon.
It's about time. Would you call yourselves adventurers then?
Oh, not by choice, but trouble seems to be everywhere now. You can't exactly avoid it.
We're more or less a motley crew of individuals that were collected by another friend for a favor.
Well, if you're looking for work, speak to some of the people in the inn. Here they have some business that they need you to take care of, and if you're adventurers, maybe you can make a little bit of coin out of it. And then you can come back here and spend it on the ale.
Yes, well, first I think we'd like some rest. We've had a very long journey from Neverwinter.
Kieran smiles at Alex and says, no need to worry about that. I already struck up a good deal with this man. The rest of you go get some rest. I've got a job to do.
He says to you guys, or he says to you guys as he reaches out for a key and he gives and slides it over the counter and says, "Here, let me show you to your room." And he looks to Kieran once more and he gives you a quizzical look when he says this. Kieran, are you sure you didn't say or count 5? I could have sworn you counted 5.
Not that I know of.
Make a deception check.
Here we go.
18.
That's not bad.
All right then, must have been my mistake. But if you have an extra person who wishes to stay, it's just more money for me.
We probably want more than 1 room, right? Like, we don't want to pile all of us
He's
in
giving
one
you
room.
1 free room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
one
we
free
can,
room.
Kieran plays well.
so we'll just pay for another one. I'll pay for it. How much does it cost?
It's going to cost you 1 silver.
Oh, that's okay.
I will pay for my own room as well.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Everyone just being like rich people.
Well,
Okay.
I pay
No,
for
I'm gonna stay with Kieran. He's got the food. I know what's up.
Okay.
I was gonna say like, wow, like throw my feature in my face, thanks, man. Like,
Well, the feature only works for you as far as I understand it.
no, it works for the whole party. I'm pretty
Yes,
sure.
No,
but, yes, but you
technically
only
you.
got one room, and there are like 5 people. We're not gonna sleep in one bed, Kieran.
Yeah, because the way I understood it when I played a prior character was that it only worked for the character.
Okay. Okay.
Like by default, that is the way it is. But like if he plays really well, make business, buy ale, like
Right. Right.
Yeah, Bolg is probably the size of one bed by himself. So
Yeah, that's true.
Just sleep on top of him.
this is
we
not,
have not reached that level of comfortableness.
right.
There
This
is
is not
there is
the,
a
this is not the other campaign. We are not that comfortable with people right now.
I have no idea what you're talking about. We're the best of friends, aren't we?
Bull goes ahead and waits for Mirabelle to smuggle herself into the inn so he can go see about people wanting to get rid of the red cloaks.
I will sort of peer into the inn before like walking in openly, just to see where people's attention is at.
okay. So you wait for sort of like music to come in and to like have the attention just drawn away, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Kieran, you take the stage with what instrument?
His
With what,
ukulele.
sorry?
What instrument are you going to use? I know you have like a few.
I only have the one.
Oh, you only have the one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do what you want to, but at the end of it, you must make your performance check, and that will determine how well you play and if Tolbin Stonehill is satisfied with your performance.
Can I make the performance first?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the stylings of Isaac.
24.
20 freaking 4.
Stylings
Okay.
of
Yes.
I am my
Kieran, come
charisma
on.
checks, man. As Kieran kind of looks around and he sees that the mood is somber. So he knows that like starting off with something, ruckus and loud isn't going to work well. So he starts off with something a bit softer, but nonetheless hopeful. As his fingers strum the ukulele.
Call of the Dragonborn.
Of course, his Skype starts breaking.
Isaac, Skype is breaking for you.
Damn it!
No, it's good now. It's good now. Quickly.
Okay. So picks up the guitar or the ukulele.
No.
Damn it!
Cutting out again.
Single time.
It just loves to interrupt your performances. It's funny.
Get a real
Once-
mic.
Once more, come on. Once
By
more,
the
come
way-
on.
Once we were not afraid of the dark. Once we sat in our kingdom with hope and pride. Once we ran through the fields with great strides. We held the fate and the demon's flight, so far from our children.
Uh-oh.
No. No,
It
cut out.
it kind of stopped at the end for a little bit, but you're good. You're good.
It's fine.
So around you, you would see the entire inn kind of just like the lighting kind of just dims down. Everyone's just sitting back and actually really engaged in your voice. Like it's soothing, and it's definitely sets the tone around you. Like you picked well, and they seem to really take a liking to you, and they clap in a very, very appreciative manner. They're not like applauding you or cheering you, but they seem to really appreciate you. Really struck deep to these people in the town of Phandelver.
Kieran tries to get up to take a bow, but then immediately go, ow, 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 and then sits back down.
And at the end, everyone just laughs at you, thinking that's part of the performance and to lighten the mood.
Kieran's laughing as like a single tear streams down his face.
Okay.
The Tolbin at the end of it walks up to you. You know what? That really felt like something my mother used to sing to me. I tell you what, free ales for you and your companions.
Kieran smiles. Oh, thank you so much, sir. That's a very generous offer. It's actually a song I wrote after passing through a small village. You see, their situation was a lot like yours. They had been under the thumb of a mercenary group for a long, long, long time. And, well, a traveling band of adventurers came through and wiped them all out. I wrote that song of the relief they all felt afterward, knowing that their children didn't have to be afraid anymore. I thought it would work well with this crowd.
He slides you 6 pints and he says, "To better times."
Kieran picks up one of them and holds it up to him. To better times, my friend.
All right. Bull, you said you wanted to go around after the perform. Actually, I'm gonna just take that back for a moment. You will do that, but Belle wanted to come in during that performance when the tension's off of her. The entire inn is very somber. It's dimly lit, focused on Kieran. What do you do, Belle?
He's going. He's
No, Belle. Sorry.
oh,
If I can
Mirabelle.
interrupt
Sorry.
Bell for just 1 second. We got another donation that said the message says "amazing encore," referring to Kieran.
Okay, so as the inn settles into Kieran's song, Belle just sort of that again reassuring whisper to the goblin, and just like right beside her, maybe a little bit behind her under the cloak, just sort of ushering him forward, keeping him near the counter and out of sight, and just quietly walking and heading to the stairs to go to the room.
Okay. It looks like he's kind of lagging behind because his feet are not completely there with him, and he's also still tied up a bit. You look like you have a bustle trailing behind you, but luckily no one's paying attention, and all eyes are on Kieran's performance. And you make it up the stairs and disappear.
We did it! Go team!
Distraction.
Distraction.
Distraction successful.
Bolg, you come downstairs during Kieran's performance, but you wait until it's finished, and you see that he's given like 6 pints of ale. Obviously, he cannot carry all of that, but probably can drink all of it by himself if he wanted to.
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely.
Kieran will
What?
drink the whole party under the table.
Greedy little bastard.
You scan the common area of the inn, and you see that there are a few people within, not too many, probably like maybe 6 at most, but in particular you see like an old farmer, an old aged farmer man, a barmaid, and what looks like a dwarven miner, because he's got that coal face and dirty beard going on, and probably the innkeeper's wife working at the back of behind the counter in the kitchen. Those people seem to be particular interest to you.
Okay. Bolg is going to go approach the farmer first, since he's trying to find out, because he overheard something that the innkeeper said about someone wanting to look into someone to take care of the red brand. So he thinks either the farmer or the dwarven miner would be the ones who would give him that job.
Okay.
Or the party that job, potentially.
Yeah. So when you go up to I assume the old farmer first, right?
Yes, the old farmer first.
Okay. You go up to the old farmer first. He is just sipping on like a cider right now. You can smell the flavors just wafting up. How do you go about it?
He goes ahead and he approaches the farmer cordially, asking if the seat beside him is taken.
The farmer, you notice that there's a sort of a gray or a white to his eyes, probably definitive of cataracts, and he's fairly old, probably close to his 80s, but he can feel your presence, and he says to you, "I feel someone with much power in front of me.
That would be true, old man. Mind if I
Please.
take a seat with you?
Please have a seat. My eyes aren't what they used to be. Please, what do I call you?
Bolg.
That is a very strong name you have there, son.
And he leans in, but not too closely. But you can see that he's not actually looking at you, but rather using his other senses. And he says,
You seem like an orc.
My father was, but my mother was human.
The best of both worlds, I see. Or rather, not see, if you get my drift.
Glad to see that your sense of humor has also improved with age, old man.
What brings you to town, to this place?
Supplies, meeting an old friend, and now that we understand it, that you have some red brand troubles on your hands.
We call them the ruffians. They are nothing more than such.
Aptly put. I understand that some people are rather displeased with their behavior, and we would like to correct that, however it may come about.
I wish I knew more about these red brands. I don't get out much anymore. But something unusual has been going on. A priestess of Timora, Sister Galel. She had left town but a few days ago and recently has only returned tired and exhausted. Wounded, if I was not mistaken.
I see.
I'm not sure what it is exactly about her. I wish not to ask her. It's her own business, but if you wish to speak to her, maybe seek the blessing of Timora. Visit her at the Shrine of Luck, in the center of town.
I will keep that in mind, old man. Many thanks.
You have the air of a warrior within you. Am I mistaken?
You are correct. I used to serve in the armies of Cormyr.
Used to.
Discharged a few weeks ago. Sad tale. We were ambushed on Tribor. Wood elves from the Neverwinter Woods. Don't know why. Don't know the reason. All I know is that they attacked us and took our escort, an artifact. I disobeyed my commanding officer to go ahead and get the artifact back and attempt to rescue a comrade. The artifact came back. The comrade did not.
I see. And what is your disposition to these elves?
The next time I see them, he goes ahead and he balls his fists together and smashes them as to not break the table, knowing his orcish strength.
he says to you,
In our town, we have an old wood elf, a wood elf ranger. He runs an orchard. His name, Darren Edermath. He was once an adventurer, but long retired. You best stay clear of him.
I will keep that in mind.
Do not let your senses blind you. They're not all bad.
He takes the old man's words to heart, but says nothing more.
and he'll raise his mug to you and sip.
He nods before audibly getting up and makes a small gesture to him before announcing, Thank you for your time, old man.
My pleasure. At that point, Alex, what are you doing? As you see, well, where are you, Alex? Are you in your room or downstairs?
No, Mirabelle seems to have taken charge of the prisoner situation, so... Excuse me. So yeah, she seems to have taken charge of the prisoner situation, so... I'm still downstairs with that ale. Now that I see Bulg is done speaking, I'll ask him, so, did you learn anything?
Aside from the fact that the Red Guard are assholes, there's apparently a very strong Elvish, he says in a almost an insultish tone, ranger that we should be wary of. I don't know whether he's causing trouble or whether he could be someone helpful.
I have a small question.
Yep.
Does Bulk have ale yet?
No, he does not.
Kieran limps over with a thing of ale and holds it up to Bulg. And he says, "You look like you could use one of these."
Many thanks. He takes the tankard and downs half of it.
Kieran goes ahead and offers him the rest of his own. I probably shouldn't get too crazy tonight. Still have the rest of the town to entertain. Anyways, I'll leave you two to it. As he goes back to the stage.
Bulk takes it and refills his own tankard before politely leaving the empty one over by the bar.
So, no pertinent information yet, then.
Not yet.
Hopefully the goblin will be more forthcoming, though I suspect none of the people here will know where to find the nearest goblin encampment.
Bulg will go ahead and reply with, the miner would be the other person to talk to. Bulg also remembers. Said something about the priestess of Timora coming back recently. Came back injured. Hasn't been the same. Might be worth talking to since you're a religious type.
Yes, I can't say I've seen many worshippers of Timora up north. We're not much on luck, but still, it may be something to investigate. Seems this town has all sorts of issues.
He nods and goes ahead and sips on his ale before and goes to just enjoy the music.
So I guess we should talk to the miner too before calling it a night in game.
Yes.
I guess I'll go over to where the miner sits and ask him. I'll open with, ran into some highwaymen on the way into town. Do you folks have trouble with that sort of thing often?
This miner, this dwarven miner seems to be rather aged. He's probably, for a dwarf, in his middle age, because you can see some gray whiskers upon his dark brown beard. He has these two goggles, or should I say, there's one goggle, but a pair of goggles that are just kind of strapped to the top of his head right now. And in front of him, in front of his table, he's sitting alone, but he has probably drank half a dozen pints of ale, and he's got some peanuts, the peanut shells just littered about. He says to you, "Hey, what's this about, Redbrand?"
Yes, is that what they're called? A bunch of fools running around in red capes extorting the population?
Yep, that sounds about right to them. I haven't really encountered any. I usually work away from Phandelver, only come back here once a month. And to spend my coin, as you can see. And he just, takes like another one of the pints and he starts drinking as the barmaid passes by, placing it on his table.
Yes, by your assortment here, it would seem business is good.
But, alas, I fear I might be out of work soon. Orcs. Orcs to the east. They are causing a bit of stir for the miners' exchange around here.
Invading, trying to expand their territory.
Yeah, something along those lines. You see, I'd rather get out of Phandelver. The Red Brand are a real problem here, but when I'm in my caves, I forget about the world. But now, taking the last thing from me, those daft orcs.
Bolg, this may be of interest to you.
What's that? He says, walking over with his tankard.
Oh, just invading orcs.
And he says, looking at Bog, I meant no offense when I said your kind was daft.
None taken. Most of my kind are. But let me ask you something. Have any of you ever seen a pale green orc who goes around with a giant two-handed sword and has a Triskelion tattooed on his chest?
He kind of looks back, stroking his beard, and a few peanuts just drop out of his beard as he does so.
Gross.
He's storing them for the winter, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
The winter's coming. It's autumn right now.
Oh, God.
It's his kind of storing. He's a peanut miner.
I hate you all.
He says to you, no is. Well, what are you trying to tell me, lad?
Just making sure it's not me paw.
Oy, I understand that feeling.
Not really. The man was a bastard.
Oh, maybe not then, but I never got along with my part either. Anyway, well, if you feel like beating up your own kind, the town master, he's got some sort of bounty on these orcs to the east. If you're willing to make some coin and not afraid of getting a little bit hurt, he's putting a huge bounty. Probably, what was it, 10 platinum pieces. Bring the heads of these orcs or something.
Well, if they're terrorizing the local population, it's worth a look.
We might be able to go check that out after we go ahead and find Abercrombus.
Yes, the hostages come first, and assuming we can find them, we'll deal with any Red Brand as we come across them. Something tells me, in my gut, that they'll find us before we find them, so I don't think we have to seek them out directly.
Oi, who is this Abercrombus you speak of?
He's a wizard, right? It's wizard.
Yeah,
Yep,
he's a wizard.
Okay, yeah,
wizard
I'm making.
from
I was like, it's like, was it wizard or sorcerer? Wizard. Okay. He's a wizard out of Neverwinter. He was meant to arrive in Phandelver today, but was ambushed along the roads, kidnapped, presumably.
Wait, another wizard coming to Phandelver? What's with the... Isn't he supposed to be the one accompanying this Gundren Rockseeker?
The one and the same.
Yes, Gundren's also on the list of the missing.
No. He was supposed to open up some new jobs or something, I hear. You find this Gundren and you bring him back alive, because I'm going to be out of a job if those orcs continue rampaging and pillaging.
Yes, we certainly intend to as soon as we can figure out where they were taken.
Us dwarves have the saying that we're all cousins. And as weird as that may sound, it's kind of true. Bring him back. Yeah?
Yes, yes, of course. And we'll look into the orcs once we've secured their safety. A hostage situation, as you understand, it's a bit more time critical
I could not possibly do your line of work, lass.
Oh, I merely try to reduce the suffering of those I come across, take it on myself if necessary. It's simple work, really.
He says, well, if you want to reduce my suffering, either get me some ale or clear those orcs for me. And then he raises a tankard to you as well. Cheers.
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 He goes ahead and raises his tankard back.
So far you've gotten some information out of the townsfolk.
Yep.
In case you guys just didn't get that, there's a Sister Galel, a priestess of Timora, returned wounded and exhausted from an excursion out of town. She is residing in the Shrine of Luck, which is in the center of town. It's very obvious. Orcs have been pillaging to the east various mines and caves and small settlements. There's a bounty that the town master is placing upon the orcs, 100 gold or something of that nature for the elimination of these orcs. Lastly, or before, two more things actually. Darren Eatermath is a wood elf, a retired wood elf adventurer, and he has that orchard which Bolg was told to steer clear of because of his prejudice, so to speak.
So to speak. It's pretty blatant.
Yes.
And lastly, Cornelius was mentioned to be another wizard in town, or supposedly supposed to be another wizard in town, mentioned by the Dwarven miner.
Well, first things first is rest, and then we'll try to tackle these things in an order that makes sense.
Absolutely. Mirabelle, what do you do with the goblin? Like, you stowed him away in your room / Kieran's room because you were rooming together.
Right? But right now I've just sort of helped him onto the bed to get sort of comfortable, and then I will sit down next to him and again just start reading one of my books.
And do you do so with your head or do you do so with your mouth?
Oh, I'm just reading quietly to myself.
Okay, you read quietly to yourself. All right. He is just sitting near you, and he's still tied up, essentially, and he cannot move. But he's sitting strangely patiently. But he's glancing around all around the entire place, and he's never seen... You can see that a glint in his eye that's like, man, this is the first time he's been in a human settlement. He's seen walls.
This goblin is learning things.
This goblin is literally learning.
He's along for the ride.
He had that look that you do when you kind of just space out. It's like, whoa, dude. Kind of,
Man, that hyper roboting there made that woe dude better. Sounded
Yes.
like you were woe duding into the back of a fan.
It's like a plan for that to happen or something. So at this point, you guys just want to call it for the night and take a long rest?
Yes. I don't
God,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
I would like to, before we long rest, just sort of discuss with Kieran who's gonna be keeping an eye on the goblin through the night, and not only just the goblin, but also the door.
Kieran, when he finishes his performances and comes back upstairs, he says, "Oh, well, if you're particularly tired, I can take the first watch, wake you up in a few hours, and perhaps you could take the next watch."
And maybe some more cake.
Oh, yes, more cake. While we're in town, I should really get more supplies to make some more. Speaking of which, I did make a promise to our friend over here. And as he walks into the room, limps into the room, he'll sit down in front of the goblin and rummage through his backpack, before he pulls out some jerky. But this jerky is different. If there are small little black sesame seeds on it, and it looks a lot more on like the moist side than anything. As he holds out a few strips for the goblin to eat.
Like a dog, it just watches you take it out, and it's ready to pounce on your finger.
Kieran feeds it as if like he's gonna like nip his fingers. Just, oh, you are a hungry boy, aren't you? Who's a good goblin? Who's a good goblin?
Luckily, the goblin can't understand your mocking.
Absolutely not. It just sees the food and it takes a bite, nearly like biting your finger off. Goblin have strangely sharp teeth. They're very jagged. They're not uniform at all in any sense of the matter. And it just almost bites you, but you know, you're watching
as,
it.
Like the goblin is, as the goblin is sitting there, like open mouth masticating on this jerky.
Mhm.
Kieran sits there and like whistles a little bit to himself. I won't do it because I can't whistle, but he just goes, "Whew." I guess I don't have to tell where you're from.
Is that what you were...
that? Yes. As Kieran just goes, I suppose they don't have dental where you're from.
Okay. So the goblin is once again fed. That's like 2 full meals essentially within the span of like 6 hours or something for that goblin. This goblin is just like it's like your long lost.
Ask like how many? Sorry.
This is probably just like 1.5. But he's got like an appetite that could rival yours.
Well, considering it's a goblin, it's probably like half starved to start with.
Probably.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So you guys can go take a long rest, recover any hit points that you've lost. You don't need to spend hit die because it's a long rest, so it just automatically recovers.
Bless.
Yes.
And your spells, of course. Looking at you, Kieran, and Madame
Mirabelle.
Warlock.
Madame Warlock.
So
if Belle would also be okay with it, Kieran, just to keep himself awake, softly plays on his ukulele and sings to himself. Nothing like super vigorous, just something soft and quiet in the corner. If she asks him to stop, he'll stop. But
Oh no, music is fine, and you actually find pretty quickly she has completely dozed off and is sleeping like she died.
Kieran smiles because he was actually like singing like a sleepy time song.
Plarg seems to be adapting to like civilization pretty well. He's like curled up in a ball as he falls asleep to Kieran's melodies,
There we go.
right beside Mirabelle.
We're gonna domesticate a goblin.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Well, I mean, I'm
How to
gonna
train your
let him go
goblin.
if we ever get done with this.
How to Train Your Goblin.
Right. Next morning?
Yep. Next morning, a rooster caws from a distant field, and you guys are awoken to the morning alarm cock.
For once, that is not an innuendo.
So, what do you do on this bright day? The sun is rising in the distance, and it kind of just casts sort of a light that you guys didn't realize in the town. There's a huge hill to the east that blocks out most of the sunlight, so you can only see rays kind of just shooting past this large hill. And the thing is that when you guys look out the window, those of you that wish to look out the window, see on top of this hill a large manor, looking very decrepit, run down, and ruined, probably uninhabited, sitting on this very large hill to the far east of Phandelver. It's very ominous looking too.
As Kieran goes down the steps and he notices this, he'll talk to the bartender again now that his foot is much better, and he says, "Say, that mansion over in the distance, what was that for?"
Oh, that's a long abandoned mansion there. You see, there used to be a lord in Phandelver centuries ago, but the tale says something that he died defending his manor, stood his ground, but whatever was attacking him, well, I think he chose to fall with his house.
Kieran nods as he's writing this all down in his notebook. And already he's kind of just humming a tune to himself. Stand my ground. No, not that.
He also mentions to you, Kieran. Now that you kind of pointed out, he says, "You didn't hear this from me, but rumor has it that the Red Brand operate out of it."
Kieran's face lights up for a second as he nods, and he kind of gives him one of these, just like. And just like finger guns his way.
And now, Tolbien like, yes, sir. Would you like some bacon and eggs and sausages?
I would very much like bacon and eggs and sausage.
And then just nothing happens, just walks away.
Are there any people in the tavern right now?
Right now, no, it's completely cleared.
All right. Well, anyways, while he's prepping the food, Kieran will still sit there and just lightly play on his ukulele and sing something softly.
Bulg goes ahead and gets down to the bar as well and queues up order breakfast as well to himself. Before realizing there was some inconsistency that the Red Brand brought up that he wanted to get addressed by the inn owner. Say, the Red Brand have never come by here and accosted your barmaid or your wife, have they?
He says to you, they've said things. Excuse me, mister. Want to keep your voice down? They don't like to operate in the day, but you never know when they're around a corner or something. You see.
I see.
But they charge everyone in Phandelver this protection tax, you would call it. But you know it's what it really is. It's extortion, you see.
Sorry, you go.
We ain't the fighting type. We can't do anything about them.
Right.
Does Kieran hear all this as well?
The one that's hit the you're right beside you're sitting, exactly. You're literally sitting right beside him as this is going on, and he says to you, the one that's getting hit the worst is the Lion Shield Coster, to the south of us. You see, Lanine Greywind is her name. Not only is the Red Brands, they're taxing her immensely. Her shipments are not arriving. Something about goblins or bugbears or orcs or something. Maybe even the hobgoblins stealing her shipments.
But you don't buy that.
I don't know.
All right. Well, the least we can do is, if we happen to come across them, we might go ahead and pay her a visit.
Kieran, sorry, you go.
You seem like the ones that need weapons and sorts. She's the only one that supplies them around here. If she has anything left.
That would explain why we saw no weapons there earlier. Kieran, who's, leaning into this, starts strumming on his ukulele. Get ready to fight me. He's ready to go. This Lanine, you said. Do you know what the extent of the harassment is?
I would say just extortion. Hasn't done anything. Maybe vandalized her shop. Her shop has been closed for the most part. She had to board up her windows to protect herself.
Oh, that poor woman. Well, I'm not usually the one for the good old ultra-violence, but... Well, you can't bother anybody if you're dead.
That is very true.
The best CC is dead, after all.
And Kieran also whispers towards Bulg as he goes, also, apparently, their base might be on that mansion over there, right outside the window.
Bulg nods appreciatively as he imagines in his mind the various instructional imperfections that might befall upon these ne'er-do-wells squatting on ill-appropriated property.
Oh, that was
As Kieran nods along.
This is what an inch 15 character sounds like.
Intellectual orc puts on
As,
glasses.
Yeah, I was gonna say your int is higher than mine, so as Kieran nods along, like you see inside of his mind, it's just like him hugging a bunny.
I mean, I'm almost there with you. I've got 14 int.
Okay.
I'm gonna go check on Mirabelle while this is going on, because Mirabelle has our prisoner.
I do have the prisoner.
Is
And
Mirabelle not a
I'm-
morning person?
She does okay in the morning, way better than I do in the morning, that's for sure. But she's sitting up with the goblin, and she's kind of drawing in one of her books and just sort of talking at the goblin, asking it questions like, "Have you ever tried waffles?"
Are you speaking this aloud or using your mind powers?
I'm using mind powers because that is the only way it will understand.
It says to you, waffles in Goblin. Like you can probably make it out. Like it's probably not too different. Like he's trying to mimic your words.
We're gonna domesticate a goblin with pork jerky, travel cake, and waffles.
I'm just
We
gonna,
are.
I'm
it's
just gonna
be
knock on.
great.
I'm just gonna knock on Mirabelle's door. Mirabelle, it's everyone's getting breakfast.
What's for breakfast?
I don't know yet. I haven't been downstairs, but everyone else has already gone down.
Oh, do you mind watching him for a few minutes and maybe explaining what waffles are?
How waffles came to be the subject of discussion, I don't know, but I'll watch him while you go and get your meal.
Thanks.
There's no one downstairs, so you shouldn't have any problems.
That's okay. Problems follow me anyway. And I will just put my book down, just leave it open on the bedside table and leave the pen like right in the middle of it. And then I will head downstairs and get some breakfast.
All right. What do you wish to do, Alex, with
With the goblin.
Plarg?
So, Goblin, are you prepared to show us where we need to go to earn your freedom?
More food. Untie me.
You know I can't untie you here. If anyone saw you, there'd be a riot.
Goblins only seen when wanted to be seen.
Yes, but I also can't trust you. You've already made one escape attempt. You will show us where we need to go, and then you will be set free, and we will pursue you no more.
Give food.
I'll try to catch Mirabelle, and I don't know how much food actually costs, but I'll try to get, if I can catch Mirabelle before she goes all the way downstairs, I'll try to get her to bring some food up here.
In a really, really like rough accent, the goblin Plarg cries out for waffles.
Waffles. Because Twitch chat, because waffles are wonderful. Because chicken and waffles is life. So I will try to catch Mirabelle and get her to bring food here, and I'll pay for whatever it costs. I don't know what it costs.
As Alex walks down the stairs, she just sees Kieran with his plate of food, takes a fork to pick up a piece of bacon, and then lifts the plate to his mouth and uses the fork to shovel it all down. So by the time she gets to the end of the stairs, she's
Oh,
chipmunk
I'm
cheeks.
not actually going down. I was trying to catch Mirabelle.
I'm going down the stairs.
Yeah, Oh, right. Yeah, Mirabel's going down. I'm trying to catch Mirabel before she goes all the way down to tell
Okay,
her.
well, the rest of you get to see the show.
To tell
I'm
her
kind
to,
of paused halfway down the stairs and just sort of like leaning back around the corner, looking up and listening.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask you to bring a plate of food up here and DM what does that cost so that I may give the coinage.
It is free because Karen has shown.
Right.
Yeah, he's demonstrated that he makes this place a little bit better, a little bit nicer.
All right. So I'll just ask her to
Gotcha,
bring
bam.
some back up here when she comes back.
Okay.
So then on my way down, I would like to find one of the people running the establishment and ask them if they can make waffles.
Absolutely.
Waffle maker.
Yeah, Tobin's wife, Trelena, she'll introduce herself to you. She's got you covered.
Excellent.
Excellent.
If Trelena is gonna be like in like speaking area, Kieran will actually try to talk to her to be like, this is excellent food, ma'am. Thank you so much. By the way, would you like some more recipes? As he opens his book and just like a fold out paper of recipes pops out.
She'll quickly go for a quill and scroll, and she'll copy as many as she can.
Kieran's just like trying to explain things to her. So you poach the egg.
Yes.
Is there like a roasted duck centerfold in here too?
She'll also ask you, "Is this a half or?"
Nope, bit of
Sorry.
lag. You're lagging
Yeah.
a little bit.
Is this a halfling pound or a human pound?
Well, I suppose it's a halfling pound, but they're just normal pounds. You humans just use everything in too big proportions. I suppose it makes sense since you're all giants anyways.
All right. So with the food dispensed to everyone and recipes exchanged, how do you guys start your day?
Well, I guess I have to feed the goblin first.
Absolutely.
And then once we're done with that, I guess I'll talk to Bolg. I'll call Bolg upstairs because I can't leave the goblin unattended, and we will have a discussion on what we should be what we should be accomplishing today.
Right.
So should we head directly for wherever Cornelius has been taken? Should be our first priority.
I agree. Get what we can onto this little fellow, and then we go ahead and we rescue our friend.
Kieran.
If we are lucky, the goblins are in cahoots with the orcs, and the orcs are working in cahoots with the red brand.
Kieran looks towards Bulg and says, "Orcs."
We're up in the
We're upstairs.
in the room. You're not here.
I thought we were all up there.
No?
'Cause we
I mean, if
finished
you-
sharing
if-
the
I-
meat.
Kieran just wanders in all of a sudden.
I only specifically summoned Bolg, but other people can just wander into the scene if they please.
Okay, but yeah. So if we're if we're lucky, we will find the orcs as well with the goblins. And if there are any red brand between here and there, well, then that's just extra gravy for us.
Gravy, where?
Yes, well, let's hope we don't have to fight them all at once. That wouldn't go well for us. Let's hope
There
we
are ways to take out multiple enemies without needing to actually engage them.
Yes, well, hopefully we'll have the element of surprise on the goblins, and we can get through that with minimal bloodshed.
Uh-huh.
So, let us smuggle our prisoner back out of here and get on the road.
Mm.
So how do we
Yeah.
want to do that?
So I'm assuming, yeah, Mirabelle, how are we going to do this?
You're asking the tough questions.
I mean, Mirabelle is the one who got us in here.
I didn't think that through. I thought about going in. I have no plan for going out. But I mean, I suppose if you're asking,
I presume the same way.
So can't we just like stuff him in a backpack or something?
Whose backpack are we going to
Sorry,
use?
what did I miss? I cut out for a bit.
We're trying to figure out what to do, how to get the goblin back outside.
how big is the window in the room?
It's big enough that even a human can fit through if you're trying.
Distraction, maybe?
We could always just like wrap him in like a bedroll and just like have Bolg just like, under the arm and just like walk out like not very nonchalantly.
If we want to go that way, we can try that.
Just don't squeeze him too hard. He ate a lot.
I will try.
Yeah, so we can just use my bedroll for that, I guess, and we'll try to get out of here. I mean, there's nobody here, so hopefully we can just like leave.
Yes. So he goes ahead and he takes Alex's bedroll, puts the goblin in the middle of it, and essentially makes a burrito around the goblin, and then puts it on top of his backpack.
I'm just gonna tell the goblin whose name I keep forgetting because I suck. I'm gonna tell him-
Plarg.
Clarg.
Plarg. With a
Blarg?
P.
Plarg. Okay. So I'm gonna tell him, now don't make any noises unless you want the humans to notice you. We should be out of town shortly.
He says, quickly.
Yes, quickly. And I'll repeat that in common so that everyone knows what's being said. That quickly is the word.
Yes.
So let us leave.
Okay.
Yes.
I will
As you
make
guys
sure to
depart-
grab my book as we leave.
All right. You make sure you grab your book, grab anything that you guys left behind. Probably take the last swig of ale before you depart. You guys come out. Phandelin's very different during the day. No sign of Red Brand in sight. The Red Brand that you quote unquote killed. Did you bury them properly, like in like a grave, or?
There is a somewhat shoddy, like clearly hand done grave, two of them,
Okay.
out by where they were massacred.
Shallow grave.
All right. Okay. So no attention is drawn to that because no one has realized that graves exist there yet.
There are
but-
corpses there.
Yeah,
As you guys exit the Stonehill Inn, you see the Shrine of Luck dedicated to Timora kind of just straight out through the door. No one's manning the shrine yet, but it is there as described by some of the locals. But you guys wander back up the road out of Phandelin, and you notice that the smithy is active, clinging and clanging, with the sound of metal being worked. And Barthen just sweeping the front of his trading post, and he gives you guys all a firm nod and a wave. Goodbye.
All right, I'll just respond with a wave as we walk on by.
Kieran vigorously waves back and nearly falls out of the caravan.
No, we don't have a cart anymore, right? Because the
No.
cart was part of the shipment, so we're on foot
Yep.
now.
So I nearly trip.
So yeah, so you nearly trip.
Bull goes ahead and just rubs his greatsword handle that he has as a totem appreciatively in his pocket before continuing on.
For good luck.
For good luck.
Absolutely. As you guys depart and leave, you guys come across sort of just like a small light blood stain at the entrance of Phandelin. You know, just got to get rid of the evidence, so you kind of just kick the dirt a bit.
I'll just like sweep over it with the broom.
Oh man, broom is
There
sweeping.
you go. There you go.
Looking at the
Plus 2 to all sweeping actions.
I mean, okay,
Kieran's
just for everyone else's, I'm sure everyone's figured this out by now, but the broom is the quarterstaff from the starting gear. I just made it a broom.
Yes.
Okay.
Kieran squints at the bloodstain and says, "Was that mine?"
I don't know, but it's gone now.
You guys leave Phandelin. The sounds of the town disappear behind you, and you enter again the Tribord Trail, and you start wandering once more back where you came from. At this point, I guess you just unsheath your goblin, right?
Yes. I take the bedroll off of my backpack and go ahead and free him out.
Okay.
He's still tied up in a rope, but I think what we shall do, what would be more reasonable to do in this situation is we'll change sort of how he's tied up and basically have him tied up almost like a dog harness, just so that he can walk on his own. But
Children's teddy bear leash.
yes,
No, absolutely. This is surprisingly.
this is like the Disney World child leash.
Yes.
Is some ethics may be called into question if this is morally right or just not. But
He's earning his freedom. It's perfectly fine.
For a second, I thought
Yeah,
you would suggest, like,
okay.
a carrot on a stick.
As long as we don't move the goalpost down 10 yards, we'll be fine.
Yes.
you guys, within a number of hours, probably close to 6 hours, which comes up to like about midday, just a little bit past midday for you guys, return back to where the horses are. The horses now have this foul stench of rot and decay, as it seems like the hobgoblins that passed by did nothing to them. Plarg continues to lead you, this time north, the same direction of which you rode the wagon, into the forest, and once more, in the distance, you smell the aroma of cooking meats in the distance and the smell of charcoal fire.
That's not coming from Phandelver.
No.
That's not, no, you guys are like hours away from Phandelver.
Would this be the same smell that Kieran smelled before?
Yeah, this is absolutely the same smell. It's probably about the same time you guys came yesterday, and you guys did not pursue the odor, but rather you chose to just return back on the road and head straight to Phandelver.
I feel like that was a smart choice in all honesty, but yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
So Kieran sniffs at the air again and says, "Hey, that's the same smell that I smelled yesterday. From the same direction, too."
Yes, well, perhaps that's their encampment.
Huh?
Whose encampment is the better question there, Alex?
Well, a goblinoid encampment, I would assume, though who runs the show is anyone's guess. Goblins don't tend to organize on their own.
Hobgoblins, orcs, Red Brand. Could be any of them, really.
Given their
Right.
fear, somehow I don't think it's Red Brand.
Kieran raises
Unless they were betrayed.
Kieran,
Kieran raises his hand and says, "Well, I could always just go ahead a little bit and do some scouting again.
well,
I tend to be relatively light-footed, all things considered."
Yeah, you better probably be doing that. I'm not exactly the best when it comes to not being heard.
Large.
But you're so good at piggybacks.
Plarg with his without his hand, he will use his head and his nose to gesture over there to the direction of sort of like just indicating
Camp! Kragma hideout.
Ah, so that is where they are.
alright, well, what do you think, Bolg? He's held up his end of the bargain.
Just one question. Who's in charge so that we can smash him for you?
I will translate this question.
you translate the question, and when you ask this question, he seems a little bit shook at that question, and he says, in just a very quiet whisper to you and only you, Alex, that you can audibly hear, he says,
Clark. Bugbear. Smash. Goblins that disobey.
I will relay this. Looks like one of your guesses was right. We have bugbears leading the fray.
That will make a very interesting time. Well, I would say that now he's held up his end of the bargain, and we know what we're going up against.
Alright, I'll cut him loose, as was agreed.
okay. You cut him loose, and he says,
Freedom!
Oh,
really,
wait.
really loud.
Before he runs away, Kieran will reach into his bag and give him, because he said 1.5 rations, I'll give him the other half of the ration.
Okay, he takes the rations without saying thank you or any sort of like civilized gesture and just runs.
As he runs off, Kieran kind of yells off after him, "I hope I see you again!"
And he keeps crying to you, Alex, freedom out loud as he runs. Like,
Mirabelle's just sort of staring off after him with a sort of zoned out look of dismay, actually. And a few moments pass before she says, "I think we left the bear trap in town."
For once, Bulg lights his eyes up and realizes he never put it out of the cart and into his bag, meaning that
It got
what's his name?
delivered.
It got delivered in addition to
Absolutely.
Oops.
bollocks.
Reaches inside of the bag. Ah!
I wouldn't be that. I wouldn't
Why
be
was
that
it armed?
airhead.
Who armed this?
Exactly. It's just like, no. Who would put an armed bear trap into their knapsack?
The worst prank in the world.
Alright, so I guess Kieran's gonna go take a look.
Yeah. Once we're close enough.
Okay. Kieran, how far do you want to scout ahead? Like, obviously, some of your companions are not the quietest folk. Do you want to wander off by yourself to just do some reconnaissance, or how do you want to play this out?
Basically, I'm thinking like once we're close enough to the camp that we're not in sight of it, but like I can see this. We can kind of see the smoke in the distance still, or
you can smell the smoke. You don't have visual of the smoke.
Okay, so like once the smell gets a decent amount of strength and they still can't see them, Kieran will hold his hand to the party and wander off on his own, sneaking between the bushes. And my goal is to kind of just get sight on the area, but not go in further into the encampment.
Okay. So, as you do so, make a stealth check for me.
Oh, big money, come on. Oh, damn, this is a really good roll. That's a 24.
24. All right. You essentially disappear with the rustling leaves that kind of just blow as gentle gusts, just come every now and then. What you come across is a large cave or a large rock outcropping jutting out of the ground. This forms sort of like the structure of a cave. It looks like a dome in a hillside, essentially, of rock. But you notice that there is a large mouth entrance of a cave, and water in a small form of a stream is running out of this cave and just draining into the forest itself. And at this point, you can see smoke billowing through a series of thickets about 100 feet in front of you. And this is as close as you are. This is as comfortable as you are getting close.
Okay, and no goblins or hobgoblins or anything, or bugbears.
Not yet, but something has to have made this fire, at least some sort of creature capable of making fire.
Okay. Kieran goes back to the party and reports what he finds to them, points in the direction, just over there. I didn't see anybody, but I saw smoke. Somebody has to have made that.
Yes, they're probably camped inside the cave. Well, I guess we have to go check it out. We can't just
Walk past it.
we can't just let Cornelius and the others stay captured, though. I have to admit, the idea of goblins capturing someone on purpose doesn't strike me very well.
Make an insight check. Alex.
Insight check. What is my insight? It's gonna be 19?
There are greater works at play, you suspect. People with a lot more power and intelligence. Mere goblins alone, and probably even to the extent of bugbears alone, would not be able to pull this off nearly as precise. There's some organization and structure to this. It's been well thought out.
Yes, I don't like this at all. We should be cautious.
Duly noted.
Alright, so I guess we shall proceed and make some vain attempt at being quiet.
Okay. You guys wish to proceed stealthily towards the direction Kieran indicated?
Can I actually do something while we're being stealthy? Because I have naturally stealthy. I can attempt to hide even when I'm obscured only by a creature that is at least one size larger than me.
Yep.
While we're moving stealthily, do you think I can add to that and try to hide behind Bulg the entire time?
I mean,
Uh,
does it help if Bulk is not hidden because he's loud?
No, but that's my thing though. It's like if they see Bulg and assuming they're not behind Bulg, they still don't know I'm there.
Kieran, you essentially would just disappear. You are gone. Like, you are just wiped from existence. Like, you gotta roll another character, essentially. But you disappear, and essentially all the attention would be taken off of you and directed to Bulg, who is the most loudest, wearing that chainmail.
The chainmail, the jostling of the chainmail hides the very, very quiet dun 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 dun.
Everyone in the party somehow still hears that, though, but not the enemies, if there are any.
Alright.
So with that, as you guys advance slowly and carefully to the this cave opening indicated by Kieran, I want you guys all to make stealth checks
Damn,
Yes,
this is
maybe
good. This is gonna be.
Off
Yeah,
we go.
this is where it gets good because
and
I'm making
define
stealth-
a marching order.
I'm in the back.
Okay.
I'm even backer than that then.
I guess that puts.
Oh.
I guess that puts like I don't know, like me and Mirabelle in the front.
Yeah, sure. I'll walk beside you. For better or worse.
What did you get?
I got a 2 and a 1, and I'm rolling at disadvantage.
Oh my god.
And my modifier's -1.
0 on stealth, baby.
Um.
Yes. I got a 13. Not that it matters now.
I'm gonna, cause Jamie, you ended up being very right. I do disappear from existence, especially the gigantic half orc taking up all the attention. Because I rolled a nat 20.
Yeah.
Still roll.
Yep, you are just gone from existence. You like disappeared to like a pseudo plane.
I make this even better.
Incidentally, I'm right with Alex, and I also got a 13 to stealth.
13 and 13 to the two of you. Okay.
I
As you
make this
guys,
even- if Bulk is okay with it, the reason Kieran is so stealthy is because he's actually like clinging to the straps of Bulk's backpack and just hiding behind his body like
Fine.
that.
Yeah, fine.
You probably don't even notice the weight.
yeah, the weight is almost non-existent.
Yeah, I'm
Just
fine
wait.
with it.
You weigh the same as a corn chip.
As the four of you proceed slowly, having liberated a goblin shouting freedom, you proceed as best to your ability to this cave, and you can see at this point it's a clear opening towards the stream, and the cave is to your left. This large open mouth cave with the water flowing out of it, and in front of the stream is a thicket. But as you guys just scan your surroundings, moving with that the tune of Kieran just humming to himself, the tune is quickly cut as you guys hear just past beside you.
Here we go.
Arrows fly over your head and hit the ground in front of you from the thicket in front.
I will say down.
And I think that's a good place to end our session tonight.
All right
Yep.
then.
Woo!
All right. We pretty much knew that was going to happen, but there was no
Yeah.
avoiding it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At least we had a little bit of fun.
Yep. So,
Alright. So, before we properly end stream, thank you to those who showed up to watch, those who donated and followed. Greatly appreciate it. Those of you hanging out in the chat.
yeah. Very much appreciated, everyone.
Whether you came from Daniel's summons or from my Twitter or from wherever you folks found us, or if you just found us off of the directory in Twitch. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. And yeah, hopefully at the start of next session someone won't catch an arrow to the face.
Yeah.
Or the knee.
Or the knee.
They
Or
aimed
the
for my-
foot.
They aimed.
Or the
They
foot.
aimed for my knee, but my legs are so small to begin with that it just got me in the foot.
No, if they were aiming for your knee, they would have got you in the head.
Aimed for your knees.
Yeah, it aimed for his knees, but it like bounced off